Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fleet Span and Ramblings, the first one for 2025. First of all, let me get the obvious out of the way. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you all had a good New Year and Christmas period. And I hope you all have an enjoyable January going forwards. So, as per usual, you all know the drill. You all hope you all had a good New. You all know how this all works. So, pretty much. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So, as usual, any Patreon questions come first, and there's only one this week from Team Mulaka. What's the panel's New Year's resolutions? I don't have one. I don't really do New Year's resolutions. Haven't done them for many years now. Just don't really have a New Year's resolution. Dragon, do you have one?
Never done them. I've always found it a bit of a silly concept.
Yeah.
Because, in all honesty, you're very unlikely to stick to it. And if you want to try and do something, just do it now. When able, instead of saying, yes, due to it in the new year, I'll do it, etc.
Because you never will. You'll never do it.
Well, going off most of our generation, we'll say, yes, we'll do it in the new year. And it will never occur.
Yep. Okay, so of course I knew that fucking question was coming.
What did you? I really don't know what you were expecting.
Yeah, I should have guessed. Right, so we'll start with Discord questions. So, question one. I haven't not done that right. There we go. Typical gunnery officer asks, what was the thought process behind the Asheville class gunboats being armed with standard missiles, but for anti-service work instead of AAW, like USS Douglas as an example? I don't know. I genuinely, maybe they wanted to give them slightly more punch. Maybe they wanted them to have a basic point-and-shoot missile capability. And standard missile is quite punchy in that role. It's also quite quick and difficult to dodge. But that's just me speculating. I don't know for certain anything beyond that. Basically. Okay, it's... Okay, did it... Okay, there we go. Good. Nat6831 asks, for Dragon... well, I suppose just for Dragon, how do you guys think amphibious assault ship girls would work in the world of Azure Lane?
Like all other ship girls, just with very limited armament. Basically, they won't have any sort of amphibious warfare capability because that's just not a thing. Really, so...
Yeah. On Discord. Unless you've got... Sorry.
No, that's basically it.
On Discord, Brandon Larson asks, what is the panel's thoughts on the current events in Venezuela and the protests in Iran? And what historical parallels are you able to see from previous events in history? Well, first of all, I would be very wary of listening to anybody who draws historical parallels to the events that are taking place currently. Anybody doing so is clutching at straws. Because, quite frankly, there is no historical parallels to what's going on right now. Not in Iran or Venezuela. We are in unprecedented times. Apart from exceptional broad strokes, at which point you could say the parallels are nearly bloody endless. In regards to Venezuela, the US has basically put its foot in a massive quagmire and has acted illegally under international law, and even though this is something the US does, the way in which it's done it has been completely against not only US internal doctrine and law, but international law as well. But it's the former that's the most surprising. Even stuff like the invasion of Grenada, that was cleared with both the heads of both political parties and the Joint Chiefs before it happened. They've done these sort of interventions before, but never like this. And usually they've at least told their allies what's going on before it's happened. Even if it's over the heads of their objections, they still tell them what's going on before it happens. This is manifestly unprecedented, and quite frankly, it was the wrong move. It was aggressively the wrong move. There was no need. You want to go after the drug cartels, go after the drug cartels, sure. But removing Maduro achieves literally nothing. He's not really linked to the drug cartels in any way. Like, this whole thing is just cinema and smoke and mirrors. And this whole idea about the US running Venezuela and selling its oil, that's just... I don't even know where we are right now, but the most dangerous thing about this is, unfortunately, the precedent it sets. In fact, we were talking about this not last night, but the night before, weren't we? About how it sets a very dangerous precedent that we now cannot take any of Trump's threats as hot air anymore. We have to assume there is a possibility he is serious about Greenland and Canada, because that ship has sailed. The capture of Maduro was illegal, it was stupid, it was unnecessary, and it's massively destabilized a admittedly corrupt and somewhat dictatorial government, but it was still a somewhat stable government. And honestly, as dictatorships go, Maduro's was pretty fucking tame. Quite frankly. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This was a massive waste of US time and resources, and it's needlessly burnt bridges with allies and, you know, members of its own government.
Yeah, that's helpful. Commenting on your comments about Maduro's government. What was the question? Sorry, I'm late.
Basically, your opinions on the events in Venezuela, protests around what historical parallels can you draw from events in history.
Oh,
Relatively speaking, actually, you can draw parallels. Like
broad stroke parallels, but that's it.
No, the fact that the US have went and eliminated leadership before, just not
Yeah,
like
but-
this. Not
But
based
it's
on beliefs.
also so you had the French taking the president of Mali hostage about 8 years ago now. You had the VDV's attempt to capture Zelensky at the start of the Russia-Ukraine war,
Those are not the same.
where, I'm sorry, but helicoptering troops into their capital to try and seize leadership is... You can draw a lot of parallels there.
Not really.
Same with the French. The difference is the big difference is the US pulled it off. That's going to scare a lot of people. Because the question is, if the VDV had kind of captured Zelensky, would we be having this conversation?
Probably yes, because there's a difference between Russia, which we already know is basically an international martyr.
Pariah,
Yeah,
not martyr.
Sorry.
Right, yeah.
Well,
That's the word.
they're practically martyr as well at this point, but
I meant more, would we be having this conversation about its legality
yes,
over the Russians seizing Zelensky?
yes,
Yes.
because again, just because one person's done it illegally
And also,
does not mean.
and also, again, this whole the whole
thing.
Russia-Ukrainian war is illegal, immoral. Or sorry, no, it's illegal under international law. That's not up for debate.
Yeah.
Just like the Chinese annexations of Tibet are still illegal to this day.
Yeah,
Like
it's just realistically not that much we can do about it.
like we talk about them in calm terms because they're not fresh, but the fact remains they are still illegal under international law. They are still the thing you are not supposed to do the big thing you are never supposed to do in the modern era: redraw borders by force.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right? On whose authority should you not do that? The current Western consensus? Or from
It's a treaty. It has weight because you've agreed to it.
It's the United Nations Charter that most of that if you're in the United Nations, you're signed up to the UN Charter.
Yeah.
And all the countries we've listed are in the UN.
Yeah, but it's the old issue of de jure versus de facto when it comes to law.
No,
Because it's not really a law if nobody's going to enforce it.
yes, it is.
Yeah, that's not how it. We're talking about laws at the international level. It is not the same as laws on the national.
Yeah, but who's going to enforce it, though? That's the thing.
Well, then at that point, Foxo, there's no laws in the world. To be brutally honest, if you to go to the logical extreme, that would be the end result because no one is going to get involved to stop a lot of nations.
Yeah.
So, are you saying there is no laws in the world?
On an international level, not really.
We've
On a
literally
fundamental level.
had examples of those laws being brutally enforced. For example, US.
Yes, that's when someone's willing to enforce them.
So
But
therefore they
that
exist.
shows there are rules and laws.
Yeah.
And also
But
the
no one was,
sanctions.
because frankly, no one was willing to enforce the laws, international laws, on America when America went into Afghanistan and Iraq, were they?
Well, Afghanistan was a. Iraq in 2003 was debatable, but it wasn't a war of conquest. It was a war of, well, it wasn't sold as a war of conquest. It was a war of disposal of a dictator slash kind of using the precedent set by 1991, which is actually one of the key examples, along with Korea, of that do not move borders by force law being rigorously enforced. So it has happened twice. But also, secondly, Afghanistan was a counter-terror operation. Which
But they still invaded a sovereign country, changed its borders,
they didn't
and
change the
occupied
borders.
it.
They didn't change the borders of Iraq and Afghanistan, and they didn't occupy. Well, Iraq was occupied, I will admit.
So it was
But
Afghanistan.
No, we were there at the behest of a friendly government that we were helping to set up. Don't forget that we were there until the Taliban took.
I don't. I'm gonna. I think what will determine if this is an overlookable violation or a much more flagrant violation is going to be what happens next.
Yeah, that's kind of. You are right. There is
And
there
we
is.
don't know.
Yeah, there is.
At this level, because there is no higher power that can enforce this, there is a certain level of stuff you can get away with.
Yeah. Cause
and the question is going to be, is the US going to cross that line?
Right now, we're currently in the grey zone area where
we don't know.
Countries can grumble about this, and obviously we can decry it quite rightly as the illegal and outright fucking dangerous destabilizing act that it is. Given its complete uselessness to any goal beyond economic exploitation of Venezuela through US coercion.
Plus, also, it might violate a number of international sanctions against China and Russia, considering the United States have stated they are going to continue selling oil to them.
Specifically, they're going to sell that oil to those two in order to raise quick capital.
That was honestly the most concerning thing out of all this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the concerning part.
Well, no, it's all concerning.
Yeah, all of it is concerning. You do not just go into another country and remove its leader in the space of one night. You exert coercive pressure on that country to try and give its population the levers or the motivations they need to effect change either at the ballot box or more directly.
And
through
to be brutally honest,
self-determination.
we are starting to see the same thing they did in, was it Iraq?
Yep.
The whole thing of getting rid of the entire government, because from what they have stated now so far, they do not think any members of any part of the government have the moral character or the support of the nation. Was also other ones. So
Well,
that
the
therefore
other
the US
thing
needs to
is-
take over the government.
But I've just got to bring some up. Why is it different when America does it in Venezuela than when the British did it in Sierra Leone or the French did it in Mali?
It's not.
Is it
People
because
called it out
they're
then.
not... Yes. Not really, though. That's the issue.
Mm,
Because when it's somewhere that happens in the third world, we don't give a damn. We didn't care when it happened in Sudan, when it happened in Sierra Leone, when it happened in Mali, when it happened in the Gabon.
I feel
We
like
didn't
I feel like you're cherry picking here.
Yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate, but my point
No,
is,
you're not. You're not playing
Not
devil's
only
advocate
that, the
anymore.
other thing I will bring up here is this is not the reason this is ringing alarm bells for so many people is because this is now indicative of a pattern of behavior. Because the current U.S. administration is also saying some of the stuff it said about Venezuela in the lead up to this operation about other nations now. That's really ringing some alarm bells.
And
Yeah.
I know Dr. Clark said he thinks it's unlikely, but unlikely or not, I do think
We have
Greenland
to
has
consider that possibility.
Greenland is quite within the right to be deeply concerned about what the US might do to them.
Yes.
You know what else was unlikely? That we all say, it would never happen. It'd be so stupid. It'd be monumentally self-destructive. A Russian invasion of
here we
Ukraine.
are.
No, that was to be kind of expected. Like a lot of people thought this was going to be happening.
That doesn't change the fact that it was still a monumentally stupid decision. Given the motivations of the people involved, it was going to happen. That doesn't change the fact that it is a monumentally stupid idea.
But it's also worth pointing out that level of escalation was not something we'd seen from Putin's Russia. That was a full-scale invasion was always seen as a step too far.
if you ignore Chechnya and Crimea, and their interventions in Central Asia, and their interventions against Georgia,
the
interventions
the intervention
Mongolia.
against Georgia, when Georgia was, I will point out Georgia started that.
Excuse me?
But the other thing I will point out is I think part of that is a failure in our calculus to be able to figure that out. I forget who it was, but one of the Scandinavian nations called that happening.
Yeah.
The second war, admittedly it wasn't a Russian pressure, but unfortunately the Georgians did kind of play into the Russians' hands by being the ones to figuratively start that second conflict. Unfortunately, it was under Russian.
When
It was
a country's in open revolt, then restoring order is legally a right as a nation state.
I know, but that
Russia's
doesn't...
interference in that, by the same metric, same set of laws, is illegal. But in kidnapping Maduro is.
Yeah, I know.
And sort of, it's worrying that America's starting to do it now. I have to concede, but
Look.
this sort of shady shit's being the norm. It's just it's
not...
being done so openly.
It's I'm not gonna lie, this sort of shit does happen. But A, you don't do it openly, and then B, you don't announce you're then going to soft annex the country.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I wouldn't even call it soft at this point. The
current...
information that we've been getting out from even just today is this is not soft.
The
This
current...
is just we want to put boots on the ground and take the government. under US control.
The current framework is a soft annexation. Until we know more than that, and with firm details on the government structure, we can't say anything more than that. The current locked-in stuff is soft control. I agree with Dragon that that's likely not the end point, but as of right now,
It's
we
not.
don't.
And the other
I'm
thing
just
to
going off what they've
consider
been saying.
is even if this was done with the best of intentions, and to be clear, I don't think it was, you cannot impose a democracy from without. The U.S. learned that with Afghanistan.
Okay.
It has to be something built up from within.
Right, that's what I've got to point out. Venezuela, unlike Afghanistan and Iraq, is an almost unified culture. There's not two massive religious groups in Venezuela. And it's got the democratic history. It's got stuff like a parliament. It has elections.
Yeah.
The issue is that it's had quite frankly, an equivalent to the HUT carve out its own little fiefdom in there. Unlike, and it's a country surrounded by other democracies, it's not the middle of the Middle East.
I still think there are going to be any attempts to exert anything beyond distant pressure will result in lots and lots of people starting to shoot at each other. You don't just...
Yeah. You can offer support from the outside, but fundamentally the change has to come from within.
The Venezuelans will fucking turn to the cartels. Because the alternative...
The Venezuelans won't, and they aren't.
At least the cartels are Venezuelan, will be the cry. For the same reason that the Afghani people turn to the Taliban. At least they're from Afghanistan and not the Americans.
Which unfortunately then just feeds the American narrative.
Yeah, but okay, no. The issue is with that is the cartels we know from before the previous Venezuelan election are absolutely despised. They are they're the equivalent in America of voting for MS-13. Like, yes, America could do this wrong, but they could also very much do basically an oversighted.
I know you're
election.
trying to play. I know you're trying to play devil's advocate here, Foxo, but there's no way.
This isn't devil's advocate. This is just you being incredibly fatalistic.
No, this is me knowing
that
what
people
fucking
given a chance for rights and liberty won't choose rights and liberty. They'll go to some of the most horrific people on the planet and
you think the US is going? You think the US is going in there to give them rights and liberty? You really think that's what the fucking goal is?
I'm with Fleet on this one. They are at 100% not doing that.
Okay, compared to a police state that
again,
US is a police state functionally right now.
Oh no! Please, no. You don't have a paramilitary equivalent to the Gestapo.
ICE.
They kind of do.
Somebody literally running a business in my local town was disappeared. We have never heard from him since. There's a reason I got out when I did.
He is right on that one, Foxer. Kind of the way the powers ICE is being given at the moment, they are effectively a paramilitary.
Yeah.
Didn't start out that way, I will admit, but the trend is just it's you can't ignore it now. You can't just say, it's not, they're just trying to solve a problem. No, we are well past that point.
Yeah. When a local business owner who employs probably about 20, 30 people can be disappeared overnight and has family, like his daughter goes to the same school I went to. That is no longer something that can be excused.
The reason people are being fatalistic here, Foxo, is so far we have not been shown any reason for why we shouldn't be. Because now, at this point, the amount of trust lost by the current US government is extreme. And it's not just from what's being said, it's from their own things. The fact that they are now, yes, they've been saying that the US wants to leave NATO for some time. This is the first time they've actually put the full bill through and are trying to get it through. That has people concerned. The fact that they are wanting to prioritize China and Russia has people concerned. The fact that Trump's now going around effectively going, I can end all world conflict and it'll do it my way, has people concerned because he has done some good. And then also others you look at, you've just made a mess here and now claiming I've won.
Yeah.
People don't trust this. They're being fatalistic because from what has been said does not equal we are freeing this country from an oppressive regime. Also, if they were doing that, why just take the president and his wife? Even on a surgical op, just removing the president and his wife isn't really the way to do that.
And also, politely,
Well,
the
okay,
and
Wait,
also,
give me a sec, because it kind of is, because that's the model the French and the British used. You take out the president, who's unpopular and has seized control, and then you let the opposition come in and clean house.
yes, but
That's
that's
Yes,
really
sometimes
wait,
it swings the other way into dictatorship,
Now,
but quite a few times it doesn't.
I agree, Fox.
And-
That makes sense. There's a problem here, though. They've now come out saying they don't think the opposition party should be in control either, even though they are the group that the public prefer.
and literally some of them are in exile in the US, who having sought asylum there, and they used to have US support. So what's changed?
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. We're well beyond the point where someone can play devil's advocate for this. Like,
Well, you
all
can play
of-
devil's advocate for everything. That's the point of devil's advocate.
well, yes, I know that, but what I mean is,
There gets a point, though, when if you're playing the devil's advocate, you're just arguing in bad faith.
yeah, it's like you can't really play devil's advocate for the Nazis now, can you? I mean, it's an extreme example, but you get the point I'm making.
No, but
Anyway, shall we move on?
Okay, no. I'm just going to point out that's like the entire concept of the devil's advocate. Is that even if you don't agree with them, you look at it from the devil's perspective, no matter how evil he is, and you look upon the situation from the opposite perspective, what you consider evil. Like,
But there comes
that's
a
a
point.
basic philosophical.
Yes,
Like I said,
we know what you mean.
Philosophical.
Yeah, we know that. But there comes a point where there becomes very little leg to stand on for that.
Very little point in doing that. Most of the time in political debate, yes, it is entirely viable and in fact needed to take that stance. But there does come a point where, anyway.
I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, so,
Probably smart.
Night 6, 9831. For Dragon and Foxer with the Azure Lane LNY story shown in the LNY events, do you think they'd last as long as they do IRL given the port is an active military base?
I've been keeping up with them, to be brutally honest. I kind of just do the event, get the ships if I do. If I don't. To be brutally honest, you could remove China from Azure Lane, and there would be zero difference. There would be one event where, oh, well, hold up. Why are you testing? Wait, what are you testing? A guided missile destroyer in a separate world? Okay, that's a bit weird, but sure. Like, to be brutally honest, Dragon Emperor, in my opinion, honestly don't deserve a place. They're literally there. They were literally there to appease the CCP, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're never going to be removed because it is a Chinese company. But
For the moment,
Okay,
they've
very
been
quickly.
trying to get out.
Very quickly,
have
Brandon,
they?
Brandon, there's
Mhm.
very little to talk about when it comes to Iran. The current protests are just the latest in a long line of protests that will quite frankly go nowhere. It's the same shit we've been seeing in Iran for the last 30 years. And like for the last 30 years, there'll be protests in the streets, there'll be some repression, and nothing will happen. The same thing we've been seeing for the last 30 years. We had the Burqa protests a couple of years ago. Then we had other protests a couple of years before that. And again, and again, and again, and again. Nothing ever happens. Short of the entire country rising up as one and toppling the government, I don't really see much point in covering protests in Iran because they don't really mean anything.
I do. Because they've got a much broader coalition for these ones. Because do you know what the protests are about, Fleet?
I don't know.
The fact that the capital of Tehran has run out of fresh water due to horrific mismanagement. And several massive areas have no fresh water.
That would be enough to get that groundswell of support you need.
That's a broad coalition we've seen come out.
Yeah, I mean, Timu, the Iranian economy...
Okay, I just put this out.
Yeah.
I say it's a big thing currently because it's not just the Iranian opposition come out, it's the ulemas that are coming out. And for those of you who don't know, ulemas are basically priests, aka a significant part of the power base for the Islamist government.
Yeah. Brandon and Timu, the Iranian economy's been in ruins since the 1980s. The Iranian economy has been in ruins since the Islamist government came to power. It's just been propped up by oil revenue. And of course, gentlemen, quite frankly, there are currently protests in Iran. This is nothing new. Talk to me when something has actually happened, worth actually discussing. Like, the government actually being toppled, or the Ayatollah fleeing to Moscow. Until that point, there's nothing really interesting to talk about when it comes to Iran right now. They're just slightly bigger protests over slightly more difficult issues.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to fight you on that.
Yes, Paul, the Shah got deposed by protests, but again, the Ayatollah hasn't been deposed yet. So like I say, shall we actually wait till it happens?
So according to Al Jazeera, so this is very Iran biased news source, there is several reports of element of the Republican Guard joining the protests or refusing to contain them. That is why it's a major issue, and we should cover these. Because what happens when the military turns against, at least part of the military turns against the government?
Well, yes, obviously.
This isn't a woman's march. This is, even if it doesn't topple the regime, it's going to hurt the regime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, though, unless something actually changes inside Iran, like the country collapses into civil war, these are all signals to be sure. I'm not denying it, but again,
nothing concrete has happened yet.
Until something happens, what is there to talk about beyond what Fox literally repeating what Foxo has just said beat for beat? That the protests are worse and over more serious issues this time. What else is there to say?
Again, Clark just pointed out something to me and linked something to us. So, fun fact, the Iranian opposition leader has been spending a lot of time in America with Donald Trump recently.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God.
Which might make it a little bit more relevant given what America's just done.
Okay. Again, but I will just... Again, I'll come back to my original point here. I'm not denying its relevance, but again, what has actually... Has there been any geopolitical shift worth discussing? Like in Venezuela, there has been. Their government's just been bloody toppled. But in Iran, yes, I'm not denying the protests are serious. I'm not denying there are more serious issues this time, and the scale of them is increasing. But at the end of the day, geopolitically and politically, the situation has not changed. The country has not collapsed into civil war. The leadership has not been meaningfully changed. There has been no geopolitical shift as of right now. Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, there's not much to talk about. There's no ramifications to discuss right now. There's nothing to speculate on.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Aside
because-
from,
Because we can speculate on what might happen, but that honestly is pointless compared to speculating
there's
on a.
too many factors to really.
Yeah.
But it's also an interesting spitball because of what's just happened in Venezuela.
Yeah, Paul. I'm
That's a related geopolitical consequence of these protests. Certainly, mass protests leading towards a revolution when the Americans have just kidnapped a dictator for being a dictator.
It's different doing it in Venezuela compared to Iran, but then again, it wouldn't be beyond the CIA's ability. They'd done it before. After all,
Yeah.
the toppling of the Shah, the toppling of the democratic government in favor of the Shah during the 50s and 60s. But as Paul says, yeah, there you go. But yeah. Well, no, the CIA. If you're talking about the Islamic Revolution, that wasn't the CIA, Paul. The CIA put the Shah back into power in the 50s and 60s, compared to a semi-democratic government who were trying to nationalize the Anglo-Iranian oil company.
The other thing is, if there are, intelligence agencies at work, it is very unlikely we will know anything until after it's over.
Yeah, until the powder keg actually someone lights the blue touch paper and retires. This is my point. My point isn't that it's interesting. It's like, unlike Venezuela, where the thing has happened. Like, the thing has occurred. Someone has lit the blue touch paper and retired. The thing has occurred. Things are happening.
I'd just like to point out, so the Islamic Revolution, that wasn't a CIA thing. But that was backed and facilitated by the KGB.
That wouldn't surprise me, bloody KGB.
So you got your intelligence agency wrong there,
But yeah, so
it's not a case. It's not the Islamic Revolution wasn't fully homegrown.
yeah. But I will just point out again that, like I say, blue touch paper has not been lit. Is Iran destabilizing at a rapid rate? Yes, it looks like it. But
Looks of it shows a large portion of the world.
yeah, but also more to
To
the
be
point.
frank.
More to the point. Yeah, just yeah. Right. We've been on this question for way too long. Right. Okay. So, Theo Gunner asks, why didn't the Japanese sell the Type 90 or Type 10 to foreign but friendly nations? Do you think the post-war treaty forbids them from conducting foreign arms sales? I'm not aware of the exact articles within the treaty.
It doesn't.
But also,
It doesn't, because weren't they in the running for Australia's submarine at one point?
yeah. But also, again, I would point out, who are they going to sell it to? Like, who is in the market for... Especially since Japanese MBTs do make some rather weird sacrifices compared to other nations' MBTs for certain parts of their operations and the way in which they're set up. Now, they aren't bad tanks, don't get me wrong, like Type 90 and Type 10. But who would be the customer? The Koreans
they're
have their
niche.
own. The Koreans have their own domestic tank program, K1. The Americans aren't going to want it. They've got M1. The Philippines, the Philippines doesn't operate MBTs. Taiwan has shifted away from heavy modernization of its tank fleet, and when they did, they went American instead. Um, with M1s. The Southeast Asian countries like Siam, Cambodia, Vietnam
You
are
mean
not.
Thailand and
Sorry,
Siam.
Thailand. Well, Siam, Thailand, same thing. Anyway, they're all they all usually go to different customers for their MBTs. And at that point, you're really starting to run out of countries who might be interested. So, for example, like, where do you go? Like, where's your sale? Where's your market beyond that point? Because if you're starting to look beyond Asia, you really are clutching at straws there for export orders. Like, you really are.
So, are we talking just about tanks here?
Yes, just tanks. Their previous and current generation of MBTs.
Yeah, because when it comes to exports, the big thing is that they do in fact export to. They're exporting the Japanese manufactured / converted / modified F-16s. The Poles are buying them. But yeah, basically the tanks, right? They're stuck in an Israel situation.
Yeah, the Type 10s and Type 90s are a little bit too specialized for other nations to adopt. Whereas K1 is basically M1, but... Well, no, sorry. It's not... Well, it started out as M1, but Korean. But then it rapidly shifted to be something different, but the same, which is weird. It's somehow... K1 and K1A1 are somehow different, but the same. And no one's quite sure why. Like, it looks like an M1, talks like an M1, but it's actually nowhere near an M1, but it also is an M1, but it's not, but it is. But it's different, but it's not, but it is, but it totally is. And all these statements are true at the same time. Yeah, the K1 is...
Sounds like development hell to me.
No, it's fine. It's just because of it's because of the similarities and differences between the K1 and the M1, which are they are at the same time extremely similar, yet shockingly different. And yeah, K1 is a good tank. There's a reason why the Poles have bought them.
But the fighters reading through it.
Mitsubishi. Heavy Industries.
Mitsubishi have been doing a lot of work on Challenger 3, so
Hey,
they
well,
definitely can.
welcome to the party, boys.
I'm
Hey.
pretty sure everyone at their mother has done some degree of work on Challenger 3 at this point.
Okay, everybody pile in. You know, they say too many cooks spoil the broth, but not in this case. Come on, everybody pile in. Come on.
Look, it's free money if the British government can't decide
Whoa.
what it wants.
Free money. Okay, so we're doing well today. We're doing well today. We're on a roll now that we got past those thorny questions.
And
at the
before
start.
someone gets butthurt, I was being sarcastic at the British government. They are nowhere near that useful.
Ha. Knight6831 asks, how likely do you think the Azure Lane 2026 Lunar New Year event will be held in January, despite the Lunar New Year 2026 being from the 17th of February 2026 to the 3rd of March 2026 into the February UR event?
It'll be whenever the event is normally, like...
Words.
Like, they kind of have set patterns with this, so...
Besides, if I remember correctly, the celebration, the Lunar New Year celebration, is weird with dates and lining up with the actual New Year's.
Okay. Right. Brandon Larson asks, what does the panel think about the Defiant class large cruiser, aka the Defiant class battleship, and the Legend class
It's not
frigates?
a batch.
Yeah, but just I'm going off just so for those who are in layman's terms. Legend class frigates from a purely naval perspective and not a political perspective. One of them, the first one, is an overly ambitious and overly inefficient combatant, but if constructed to the specs issued, will be a large, inefficient, but overall effective combatant. The other one is a chronic waste of crew materiel and fucking money. The Legend class are fucking pathetic. No VLS, not even having a fucking towed array on the first fucking versions of them. Just a 57mm gun and maybe some torpedoes, and they can't even carry a fucking
Wait, what the fuck are you on about?
Navy version of the fucking Seahawk. in their
Wait,
first
what,
part.
no, what do you want about?
The frigates, the new frigates, quote
Because
unquote, the US again.
their relation to the Legend class is that they share a hull. Not that they're not getting that equipment.
No, Foxo, the first tranche isn't getting that equipment. That's why we're pissed off. The first flight of the Legends class has been confirmed to have no towed array sonar and no work done so it can carry the US Navy version of the Seahawk for use in anti-submarine work. For the first flight of 4 hulls, they are fucking useless because they are just painting Coast Guard cutters grey. It's pathetic. They cancelled Constellation for that.
Yeah, because Constellation was shite.
It fucking wasn't. It was what was required.
It's better than what they're getting.
Okay, maybe you can argue it's better than what they're getting.
Foxo,
Arguing it was good is
Constellation.
It was good enough.
Foxo, it was an actual decent OHP replacement. A frigate capable of going into any environment you could ask it to go into and doing any role to a basic level of competence. Which is what the US needed, a new FFG. What they're getting is an F.
It wasn't that, though. It was inherently inefficient because it's built using off-the-shelf components, upmarked.
Okay.
That was a similar price bracket to a Burke and less capable than a Burke. And to justify its existence was running up against the Burke. I ran to the issue of why would we get a Constellation when for 5 to 10% more we can get a fucking Burke?
You buy a Constellation because it can fit into yards a Burke can't fit into and will therefore save those yards and recapitalize those yards. That was the whole fucking point. It wasn't about getting the cost down. It was at first, but the impetus for the program changed under the previous administration when they realized they needed to build something of that size, even if the cost was equivalent to a Burke, to recapitalize some of these yards that desperately needed orders and work after not having frigate-sized work for a long time. That was the point. The problem is, these ships are now too small and too incapable, and they're not going to go, and they're not the sort of work that the frigate yards will take and bid for. Because it's not big enough.
Given this administration's penchant for purchasing ownership in U.S. companies, I could absolutely see them either partially or outright nationalizing those yards.
Problem is, that's what's the problem is. The problem is Constellation was the last. Yeah.
It has VLS.
No, it doesn't. Not the first flight.
Yeah, because they're based off Patrol Frigate 4921. Anyway, do you want to move on?
We haven't discussed the Defiant yet. It's
The
a
Defiant's just Strike Cruiser 1970.
yeah. No, it's not. It's massive. It's even bigger than that.
Yeah, but it's just
It's effectively
Strike
the
Cruiser
design.
1970.
Yeah.
But
And the US and Navy's been trying to get Strike Cruiser 1970 for the past 50 years.
No. I'm shutting that line of thought down immediately because you're so wrong. It's not even funny.
She's not though. In
No,
a lot of
she is.
regards, it does
no,
follow.
Sorry,
Yeah.
no.
It shares all the same specs,
It's
except for the VLS generation than the strike cruisers they were wanting.
no. I'm sorry, but no. You. It's just no. Defiant is massively oversized for what she is. She's got the same VLS. In fact, she's got less VLS than DDGX was supposed to fucking have, which makes the whole fucking ship pointless to begin with. But if it gets built, it'll be an inefficient. If it gets built, which it's not going to, because there are no yards that can build it. Right now, they're all tied up with other work. And unless the US wants to cancel the nuclear supercarrier, no, Brandon Larson, these ships are a fucking disgrace to the United States Navy.
They're
No,
not.
Also,
No, they
right,
are.
Right.
No,
so
no. I'm sorry. They've got the same defensive suite as the cruisers that were proposed in the 2010s.
No, I'm talking about the
No.
He's
Yeah,
talking
no,
about the
I'm
FFX.
Yeah, and the thing of the FFX is, frankly, the FFX was a bad idea. If you're trying to build a cruiser out of a destroyer.
No,
The
no.
Defiant
You're wrong. You're wrong. DDGX
No,
is not trying to build the
no,
cruiser out of a
because-
destroyer.
no,
You're
No,
wrong.
because they were part of the.
Right.
Because, quite frankly, look at it from the Defiant, which the question was about.
Maybe you should
It's
check
got
your
the
sources,
same
Brandon.
defensive suite as the strike cruisers the US wanted. It's got the same. It's got almost exactly the same VLS armament, the missile cruise, the strike they wanted for the strike cruisers. It's a similar tonnage they wanted for the strike.
No, it's
so
not.
Can I intervene a sec?
It's
The
Right.
difference
it's-
is
Right,
the
why don't
rail.
I step in here now? So, okay. DDGX had 96 Mark 41 VLS, right?
No, she was supposed to have 148.
No, she has 96.
No, she has 96.
She's got the same as the Burke.
She has
which is their
three-
full length.
She has
so.
3 cells of 32. The new Defiant has 128.
Still pathetic for a ship its size.
Yes, you then also got the 42 cells of RIM 16 launchers on the DDGX, but you've also got the new 12 cells of the conventional prompt strike system that the US wants. It's actually a quite reasonable armament.
No, it needs.
Can you get it on a smaller ship? Plausibly. But also, though, it has other capabilities that DDGX probably would not have the space to do so. They're
unneeded
2 different ships
capabilities.
for different roles.
It's an unneeded waste of time and
No,
money.
wait, right, Fleet. Quite frankly, if the USN didn't want a ship like this, they wouldn't have been trying to get it for the past 50 fucking years.
They haven't
degree,
been.
she
You're talking
is
out
a-
of your...
Right.
Trump
To it,
issue.
no, she is correct that the US have been looking at a strike cruiser earlier than the 70s. We actually see what they have. They then want strike cruisers, and they've been keeping up. From what I'm can read up on, and from what I'm aware, they are still looking through designs for a strike cruiser. What is this effectively?
If the US actually wanted this ship, it would actually be buildable within the next 10
No,
years.
that's not
No.
true at all, because Congress.
No, if the US...
The US
actually-
If
No.
the US Navy wants a lot of things,
No,
there's been a lot of things the US Navy want, and they've been told, no, you're not getting that.
no, you don't
And
understand.
it's been
There's
this
physically-
displacement bracket
there's physically-
since the 80s.
Foxo, there isn't the yard space for it for the next 20 years.
Yes, there is.
No, there isn't. There is not the yard space. Unless you cancel carriers, there's nowhere to build the damn things.
Because we already
32,000 tons is buildable in a lot more yards than you're saying.
No, there isn't. None of them have... And the yards that exist have not dealt with military contracts before. It'll be a clusterfuck of the highest order.
Yeah. From what we know, the US is also recapitalizing yards to build it.
God, what a shit
And
show.
expanding yards to build it.
What a waste
It-
this
it's
bloody
it's
ship
part
is.
of a justification for an infrastructure
It's
expansion
almost
program.
like having a project that encourages you to rebuild capability
I'm sorry, but
It's
I'm
a
just
good way to build
the amount of
capability.
wrong you are all speaking
Oh,
is
okay.
laughable in the extreme. It's just
No.
it-
Are you saying the USN for the past 60 years has been wrong?
considering
That you
that
know what they need better than they do.
considering that they have literally been fine with Tycho and Arleigh Burke, and you don't need
They
cruisers anymore.
haven't.
They've been wanting to replace those
Yeah,
a lot.
with more destroyers, you don't need and you
No,
don't
they
need a
haven't.
cruiser.
They've wanted
don't need
They've wanted
cruisers.
multiple things.
Yeah, no. So they tried to get a strike cruiser path in 2003, 2007, 2011, 2013, 2016, 2019, 2022, 1991, 1994, 1987.
This to me sounds like they've been looking at strike cruisers for some times.
They've been wanting
Like-
them for a long time. They just
Yeah,
haven't
well,
been
this
given
is
the money for them.
Yes, well, this
This
isn't
is the
the
best-
answer.
Thi-
Quite frankly,
It's the closest thing they can get.
It's too big.
Possibly. But
It's inefficient.
possibly. But it's what they can get.
And it's what they think they need.
You do realize
I don't know if I don't know
Brandon,
if it's what they think they
Brandon,
need, but-
Brandon, I'm echoing cyclic. If you think cyclic's gonna
But
put
in particular-
cyclic would be agreeing with me.
So, right, the shipyards they're planning to build it in definitely have the capability to build these ships. Like, in terms of the dockyards they have available, they can definitely do it. Well, this will be some of the first time they've had to do so in
Oh,
quite some
that's good.
time to do military stuff. But, again, don't spam cyclic with pings, that's just rude. But it's almost as if they need a reason to do this. And this is a very good reason. You might even see maybe one or two do get built and the rest get cancelled.
Thank
Or
God.
maybe they don't get built. But then
hopefully.
still the program does.
See,
Comparative,
if-
a bit of a strange example, but Foxer will know what I mean. The whole, what's it called? Saudi Arabian Linear City.
I
Yeah,
will admit.
That turned out basically we're going to build this massive city that's linear, that's vertical across the entire desert. What do they actually use it for? Changing religious practices and business economics so that the country could do something else.
What I will
so they
say,
could- so
what
they
I
could
will say,
justify a
Dragon,
massive infrastructural development project.
Dragon,
Southern
if you're
Arabia.
right, if you are right, and this is literally a smoke and mirrors for the US to get the Congress and the president to funnel money into a massive recapitalization of US shipbuilding, and they don't plan to actually, and the plan is to cancel these in the next administration, or try and get them cancelled in the next administration and go back to DDGX, then then the US has completely rolled a natural 20, and that is a brilliant fucking move.
Blunt, I don't think they'll go back to DGGX. They'll probably go to something else. And I do actually still see them maybe building a couple of these. Is that, again, the question of is it the smartest idea? Maybe not. But to be fair, I'm not sure the US would say no to having these.
The
On top of
manpower
what they want.
requirements.
Manpower is the one thing the US is not overly lacking, from what I'm aware. It's not perfect, but they're certainly doing better than most.
Oh God,
NATO
Brandon Larson,
members.
what a horrible thought. 25 of these,
Okay,
25 of
Yes,
these
there are other
idiotic
things they would like to have. Doesn't mean they won't take them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
because I'll point something out is that from what was being released about its crewing requirements, it has crewing requirements on a similar
Oh,
level
no.
to the European vessels versus American vessels.
Used
Right.
in the war against
So-
China. Oh God.
Again,
no.
going again, as people should be aware, but just to make it very clinically clear, I'm going off the stats the US Navy has given us. Because there is nothing else even remotely possible to suggest it.
Now,
The US, they claim these ships will have a crew of somewhere between 500 and 1,000.
more,
Potentially more.
more.
But that's
No.
not. I could see it. I genuinely could.
Like, yeah, it's also the USN. You know how they like to overcrew things. It's just one of the things they like to do for damage control. It's part of USN doctrine. It's part of the reason the
It's
constellations
not
were
the worst
cancelled.
idea either.
It's part of the reason the constellations were cancelled.
just because they're big doesn't mean they necessarily have to be really an efficient crew layout.
No, but it's part of
It
US
does
practice.
probably.
How much-
It does
wait,
almost definitely mean they will still get feature crept and still end up with, well, we need a guy to run this. We need a guy to run that. They're going to be susceptible to that, same as everything else is, right?
With these, if the whole cancel all except for one or two of them plan is what's happening, my next question would be, how much reserve space is there in the design? I.e., could these be used as test platforms for various new systems?
More than likely.
Yes.
To be honest, the system I see the most being ripped out is that railgun.
Funny thing is,
That's-
I was actually talking to Cyclic about that. A weapon in exactly that bracket range exists, and it has a barrel life that's actually acceptable. So ironically enough, that's the one thing that may actually stick, because the weapon already exists.
Yeah,
I mean, it works. That doesn't mean it's worth anything.
Yeah,
I'm with.
Go on, Eddie.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just looking because the railgun, the US railgun was the failure. We're looking at for a working one. You're looking at the Japanese system, which is a lot more functional, as I understand it at this point.
I mean, I'm hopeful.
And as for the claimed lasers, well,
They've been chasing laser point defense since the 50s.
And
Yeah.
to be fair, DDGX
And-
was also meant to have
Yeah.
laser point defense.
That's
yeah,
the one.
but-
That's the one thing I can't
and
disagree
it's
with.
funny. These come out with these systems right after BAE quite publicly showed theirs working. It's like so.
For my money, the whole deal is that they're just. This is the big, giant, stupid thing we put up in front of everybody. At the top of the list, and the stuff further down the list is what we're actually after.
Yeah.
Whether that's what they're actually doing, I don't know, right? But
I mean, I will
that's
admit,
that's classic procurement, right? Ask for the moon and assume you're not going to get it, and then holy shit, we did.
I will
'Cause
admit,
the re-
I
Go
had
on.
forgotten, and this is on me. So I will admit there is a part of these ships that I had forgotten.
Make up for.
I had forgotten about that. They not only do they have 128 VLS cells for Mach 41, they also have 12 cells for conventional prompt strike.
I literally said
I
this
forgot
earlier.
about that.
You forgot it in
which-
5 minutes?
Which, to be fair, would make them good adjuncts to the Zumwalts, given that they're also getting conventional prompt strike.
I said
But
this like 5
but I
minutes
do.
ago.
But I would still like to see. I would still like to see them creep from 128 VLS up to something like 140 or 192, Mark 41.
They do what? 32 cells?
Yeah,
You probably
like
if they're
replace
doing,
the.
if they're doing that. Do they do half cells? I don't think they do. I think it is like a 32
no,
plug and play
no,
system.
no. If you look at Zumwalt, look where their VLS cells are, all around the flight deck in single cell. You can place Mark 41 cells anywhere you like.
Those aren't Mark 41.
No, they are.
No, they're Mark 57.
No, they're 41s.
From what I'm reading, the Zumwalt ones are Mark 57s, not 41s.
Well, they carry the same missiles.
That doesn't mean they're the same mount, though. And considering the Trump is said to have the Mark 41, I said I don't actually know if.
I'd say
Mark
there's a
57. Mark 57.
There is nothing set in stone about these things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing.
exactly.
Mark
Anything and everything will change. Like that's. I would be very surprised if the Navy has even done like. This has probably come out of one guy's office, right? Like
Yeah.
they have not seriously contemplated anything to do with these things. At least that's my guess. I don't know for sure, right? But this very much, again, this very much feels like just kind of something you throw out there in the hopes that you can get a little more R&D money, hope that you can get a little bit more development money
It does smack of that,
for
doesn't
some
it?
stuff that you actually want.
Yeah.
Because like these again, a lot of this, like the railgun stuff, the laser Sea-Wiz stuff. These are programs that the Navy has been working on, and then they ran out of money. Admittedly, they ran out of money because they didn't work, but
Yeah, so,
they still ran out of money.
and just to add to that point, interestingly, both DGX and this are meant to be using BAE UK's laser defense system,
That doesn't surprise me.
which is more the fact that that's been shown to be working.
Yeah.
So,
I
The one
think
more- the thing I
think-
find strange about the rail, going back a sec, Philippe,
That's
you
all
said
right.
about you don't think the railguns are happening. The thing I find weird about the railgun is the fact the US cancelled their railgun project. Well, actually, they didn't cancel it, but they ceased funding to the railgun project in 2021.
they did, but let's
So it's a bit weird for them just to all of a sudden.
let's be honest here.
Go back.
It wouldn't be the first time that the US has stopped funding something, but there's actually been a line of budget running to it behind the closed doors. It wouldn't be
It's also
the
weird
first
that it's a
time.
different type of railgun. It's not
Yeah.
the same as the initial railgun they were looking at. So
I
You're
would just-
assuming that there's been funding and that it's not something some guy wrote on a piece of paper somewhere.
yeah,
that's what I'm more believing.
yeah.
That's
I would
why I
just-
honestly see that
Like,
railgun just getting
the-
written off.
But
The
it-
entire thing. Go ahead, sorry.
It's more the fact that the American system failed because, arguably, one of the justifications I found for it, they didn't actually cancel it; it just got transferred from the Office of the Navy back to
Ah.
DARPA, which
To where?
it got transferred from the Office of the Navy back to DARPA.
Which is
so,
a different funding stream, a much more obtuse funding stream.
hmm,
Yeah, so it's still been receiving funding. And it got the US one got transferred back to DARPA before the Japanese made their breakthroughs with theirs.
Oh, here's an interesting one actually, because I've just found it, Foxer, to try and back up your point. The US ceased funding their railgun in 2021. Would you like to know what BAE's railgun's rating is?
no.
32 megajoules. Exact same as the ones they've been talking about sticking on these battle.
Yeah,
And
like I
they
said.
looked at the BAE one. They were very interested in the BAE one. It wouldn't surprise me, despite all of Trump's claims. This
Is the whole
railgun-
thing actually just the Navy trying to get control of the railgun project back?
Oh my god, that would be the biggest double blind. We all get bamboozled by a massive smoke screen.
Like, because
BAE
that kind
one
of
mostly
stupid
works better,
bureaucratic
actually.
nonsense.
I think it's either that or
Yeah.
it's the US instinctive going, okay, lasers, we can't get those working, railguns, we can't get those working yet. They're 20, 30 years off. And then
Yeah.
their allies getting railguns working, getting lasers working, them going, oh shit.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise.
Quickly, we need a ship that could hold them.
Yeah.
Strike cruiser. Take
Yeah.
strike cruiser, put it on those.
Yeah, it wouldn't
and ship it
surprise
out the
me.
door.
It wouldn't, given what Brandon's saying, and also, of course, because we know what the current SecNav is like. It wouldn't surprise me if the US put their put funding forward for like something to go with DDGX and Constellation. The US SecNav saw this, said it's too small, make it bigger, put railguns on it, and then that's how we got the Trump class. Basically, like we were going to get 128 cell cruiser. The current SecNav got hold of it and embiggened it for no bloody reason. And then during development and actual production, it's going to get smallened again. Hopefully.
Or
Been run through the
it
Xerox
really
for a
is
lot.
just a huge dick measuring contest. If you'll
Oh.
pardon the...
Compensation cruises, I
If you
believe,
pardon
is
the
the term.
Or,
Yeah,
hear me out. For early proposals, if you take off the railgun and the lanes for the Trump cars, when it comes to their turbines and their VLS loader, and they want for hypersonics on them, it's basically what they wanted for strike cruiser. The USN, the Congress has a habit of cancelling strike cruisers. They've currently got an egotistical dickhead as a ruler. And so they've gone, okay, cruisers aren't popular. What about battleships appear to the penously challenged part of the US government
And the US population.
and population go, it's a battleship, not a cruiser, therefore. And the US Congress has gone, better habit of not cancelling battleships. When this is just
Yeah, they're out of
strategies
practice
involved.
canceling battleships. They haven't done it in at least 80 years,
ah,
60 years, whatever.
Anyway, we have covered this question aggressively. So
it's just strikers.
we actually have an interesting what if hypothetical because it's not actually that that much of a time displacement for once. Foxo, he's listened to you.
Joy.
YouTube
I hate
Minecraft
having
Watcher
power.
asks, what if the Red Army of 1943 replaces the Red Army of 1939? Does that give Stalin the confidence to just keep going west when he goes into Poland and remove the German problem once and for all? Because we know that it was basically whichever side felt confident about crushing the other first
don't
was going to go.
I think so.
And in 41, the Germans felt confident, so they went first. Whereas if it had been the Russians who felt confident in 41, they would have gone first.
I could see it moving up the timeline. The big thing, if I am a Russian planner, the big thing that makes me uncomfortable with that is I don't have an industrial base to replace those losses.
If anything, I think this pushes it back. I think.
I mean, the Germans are going to run into a brick wall in 41. They're just going to run.
They're not.
I don't think
They're
they
not
go.
done.
Like-
So
Yeah, because they're not done. They're going to see all of this stuff.
I
They're-
think.
Okay.
Are we basing the is the question premised on this happening before or after the partition of Poland?
It doesn't say.
I would say after. Just let's simplify.
I would assume around that same time, probably after, right? If that's the case, I think Molotov-Ribbentrop holds.
I don't.
With
No.
both sides knowing damn well that that they're going to go to war after it runs out. But neither one at least holds longer.
The thing is,
Right.
the-
Can I just-
go on. Yeah, you've gone, Fosso.
So, big issue with that is you haven't got rid of the Nazi Germany's desperate need for land, oil, and food, which is why they push east, and ideology. So, Germans are going to march east when they march east.
It's when they're at their strongest. Like they're not
Yeah,
going to
the
get
Red-
any stronger.
And the Red Army buckles because the logistics and the bracing behind it buckles.
If you've got very quickly, Fox, I just want to interject aggressively quickly. The key thing here is you've got the lorry-based logistics in the Red Army of 43. General Motors has turned up.
But you can't replace it.
But you don't have the okay. You've got the trucks. You don't have the roads.
Hang on, let
Hey,
Fox
you don't
finish
have the
it.
roads, you don't have the railroads, you don't have... Because the motorization of Soviet logistics comes in 44, not 43.
I mean, what you do have is we have replaced the broken and shattered Red Army with one with competent officers and NCOs.
Debatable. You've
I
replaced it with a differently broken and shattered Red Army.
Yeah, you've got a Red Army that's out of equipment.
In 43?
Like
Yeah,
I mean, but
They're-
Kursk and
the Red Army in
advance
43 are getting their feet under them, right? They are beginning to, they're beginning to become more like functionally coherent. They're not there yet.
Mm.
yeah.
Is that? Go ahead, sorry.
Sort of to clarify at this point, it's less that they're not they're less the organizational and logistical failure shit show it was in 1941, but it's more of pretty much every frontline unit's been destroyed. It's a massive army of reservists with little practical training compared to their opponent force. They've got a very high average age, and yeah, they're an army that's lost 8 million men and are working on Drex.
And
Like,
now they've
not to be
got to
rude.
face a fresh. Well, I think you've also got a twofold problem coming the other way. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, the Führer did issue a Führer directive that the Panzer III be rearmed with the long-barreled 50 in the immediate aftermath of the Battle of France, and that Führer directive was not followed through on because the General Staff dismissed it. If they go into if they go into Poland and meet the Reds, and all they see of the Red Army is T-34s and KV-1s, and those are the only tanks they see in numbers, when Hitler issues that Führer directive, the army's general staff might actually fucking follow through. So the reason I'm saying this is not to say wonder weapon or anything like that. But what I'm saying is it will redress one of the problems of a 41 Barb in this universe, wherein German tanks will be able to semi-reliably deal with their opponents as they could historically in 41.
When did this come out? It's.
I mean, the Long 50 can semi-reliably deal with the T-34. I think. I'm not talking out my ass there, Foxer. The Long 50 isn't terrible. She knows tanks. She. Am I cutting in and out for people? Am I all right?
No, you're good. You're good.
No, we can hear you.
I
think people are doing furious Googling and or searching.
I'm flipping through my copy of the 1944 Soviet tank manual, trying to figure out when the date was. The thing I'm not sure about, either way, right, is that, okay, how many T-34s and KV-1s do the Germans actually see when they go into Poland? Because this is a Red Army that doesn't know how to move tanks to the front, that has no capability to do a lot of that sort of maneuver, right? If they're going expeditionarily into Poland, I don't think they're doing it in armor.
No.
At least not in the quantity. Is that...
Doing it in armor.
Hmm?
They're really not doing it in armor.
It's not that they can't fight them. They've got some capability to do that. They've got a lot of very hard-won know-how in doing that. They haven't decimated that as well as they would like to, but they can do that. The problem is going to be everything behind the front that they just don't have.
Yeah.
Unless, again, right, because the other thing that happens in 1943 that benefits the Soviet army is that everything has gotten closer to where everything's close to their bases. They're way past it in a lot of cases, right? The Red Army of 1943 is not mounting expeditionary campaigns into anywhere else, right? They don't have to. They don't have the logistical tail to do that. If not expeditionary is not really the right word, but they're fighting close, right? I don't know. Definitely an interesting question, though.
Yeah. So, assuming the Germans invade when they do historically, that gives around a year for the Soviets to sort of work on. Yeah, I don't think they have enough time to really tool up and get their logistics train in place for this new fighting force they have.
They're going to have to decide how heavily they want to try to hold that border.
Yeah. Well, not just that. It's
and how heavily they can.
Yeah. How far
Like, how
How
far west can
can-
they hold?
Yeah. And also
You-
how much production of the various spare parts and everything have they got stood up by this point? Because there's going to be some, but will it be enough to handle attrition rate?
It's not so much. No, the problem is not that nothing changes. What we might have is an even worse outcome. Barb might actually succeed.
No,
I don't
Barb's
think
never
it.
gonna
No,
succeed.
it does not succeed.
No, but okay,
but
okay. I'm gonna. Barb can succeed if the Allies don't send Lend-Lease. The Germans will win. No, they will. Like without Lend-Lease, Russia dies.
No.
No. Yeah, without Lend-Lease, Russia dies.
No.
They don't have the industry or the men.
let's not go round and round about it.
I'm saying no because wait,
The
Soviets don't.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
You go ahead.
In 1941 and early 42, the Soviets don't stop Barbarossa. Barbarossa runs itself out of steam, as the Wehrmacht runs out of energy.
But things like there would have been a summer offensive in 43 hadn't had the Stalingrad encirclement, which was only made possible by Western aid, not happened. Like
Or
the red.
our scenario here,
Of course, the Western aid does exist in this scenario.
I think we are probably if I'm our hypothetical time transplanted Soviet general staff, I think that we try to keep Stalingrad from being encircled. I think that's our line in the sand.
Wait, wouldn't the general staff know that the invasion is coming if they've come back from 43?
Yes.
Yeah, the issue's Stalin.
Does he shoot them all?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Hang on.
Um,
Isn't Stalin technically the head of the Red Army?
No.
Technically in uniform?
No.
Oh.
he never is.
He's head of
He's,
the party
was
because
gonna
the
say-
party controls the state.
And you
He controls the state.
you might think that would mean he had some kind of like role in the very upper echelons of the Red Army bureaucracy. He never bothered. He was just a guy.
Well, isn't his son in the Red Army? So therefore, wouldn't he come back, and be like, "Hey, Dad, I'm back." Like, we're back.
His son, the drunken lunatic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Fuck.
His son's a drunken lunatic who his dad didn't like and actively tried to get killed at certain points.
Yeah. Okay. She's got me.
Ran a pretty
there.
good hockey team though.
Yeah.
He did. They won championships.
You're not wrong, which is the annoying part.
Bloody hell. This is.
And I think he was in the Air Force technically, but whatever.
Mm.
And
At least the hockey team was Air Force.
yeah. Oh god, you just pointed that out. Oh god. The Red Air Force ain't coming back, is it?
Oh no! It's
I
the
don't-
Red.
Are they administratively under the army, or are they a separate branch?
I don't think. Hang on. Let me have a look. Let's have a look. Red Air Force. Hang on. Soviet Air Forces. Soviet Armed Forces. Military Aviation Branch. No, they are not. They were even the Imperial Russian Air Service was not under Army Command.
Damn.
And neither was the Soviet one. So yeah, no, the Soviet Air Force isn't coming back. It's just the Soviet Army.
Which is a big
Eh.
issue. It's a big issue. It's possibly
Bigly.
the biggest issue.
It's
Yeah, I mean that's gonna complicate things.
and that complicates fucking things.
Yeah.
I don't know that it The Red Air Force, the
honestly-
Soviet Air Force does not cover itself in glory in the early parts of the war.
No,
Yeah, but by 43, they're starting to get competent, especially
They
in the
are.
launching operation.
It's
It will kneecap the army's operations somewhat.
yeah. If the Luftwaffe, if it doesn't matter, even if we say the Red Army is really, which we aren't saying because we're all in agreement on the Red Army's capabilities in 43. But even if you were to be like the Red Army is really strong, if you've got a full strength Luftwaffe
Does-
facing a historical Soviet Air Force, they're still gonna fuck things up.
Actually, I
Eh.
thought, no, you might not get a Battle of Britain.
What?
you make a good point.
A
They
much
might
better
focus
east.
equipped Soviet army in the east. There's a good
Like
chance.
they never divert those resources. They focus
Yeah.
east.
Basically, so
Yeah.
basically, as soon as Hitler thinks he's ready, boom, focus east, go. As soon as they think
Yeah.
they're ready. Like, they're gonna have to wait till 41 to get the Romanians and Hungarians aligned with the plan.
Which does make me wonder how many Lend-Lease planes does Britain send east? Because they'll have the spare production.
They don't. They said it. They
Some-
said they don't. You'll see, because fucking that bastard Mallory hasn't fucking had a chance to cover himself in false glory during
Does
the Battle
some
of
Soviet major who's somewhat familiar with that mess shoot him?
Well, so because there hasn't been the Battle of Britain, Bernard Mallory's big wing never gets tested, and he becomes a grumpy fucking idiot who no one listens to, which therefore means that Downing's wood chipper will get limitedly tested, which will work. Which means that also because Mallory is not had a chance to cover himself in false glory, it means he's not going to be around to stop fighters going to the desert. Which means the Italians are going to run into the latest Marks and Spitfire and Hurricane in the Western Desert, which is
No,
just
No, fleet, it's worse. You probably get the actual aircraft the Pacific Command were wanting.
oh yes,
Which means Westland Whirlwind.
Yes! yes, Westland Whirlwinds. Foxo, can we put the Whirlwinds on Malta? Please tell me we can put the Whirlwinds on Malta. Yes,
That's what they were designed for. They were twin engine
Yes!
heavy fighter designed
Whirlwinds
to
on
airworthiness
Malta.
over Malta.
fuck
Okay.
yes.
Off on short airfields.
Whirlwinds on Malta. Fuck you, Flieger Corps 10, if you even exist.
No, Flieger Corps 10 are going east.
Well, actually,
And
yeah,
have a bad
but
time
actually,
of it.
if we have that level of air support offered to the Western Desert Forces in 1940, the
Oh, God,
Italian,
Greece doesn't fall.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Italians
God,
might be
Greece
done.
doesn't fall.
Well, no, I don't think we can stop Greece falling. I think the Germans are going to want to wrap that little
I
mainland.
think we can.
No, if the
It's-
main, if the Germans are going east, they're going to want to. You'll get Greece being wrapped up early. The Germans will come down early to try and meet their campaigning season targets for 41.
Will they?
Yeah, if they can, which they can do in this case, since they're not focusing on defeating Britain. They're going to want everything wrapped up. If Mussolini says, I can't fucking deal with this, the Germans are not going to want that thorn on the continent. They're going to want that fucking dealt with. You're probably not going to see Crete, so Crete will probably remain the last bastion of the Greek government.
The Eastern Front land war is still going to be a god-awful hell.
Yes,
I think we can all agree on. Like, that's...
it's fucked.
Yeah.
I think they hold ish, kinda, in the sense that like they don't take Moscow, but
I mean, they might take Moscow, but it's not going to help them
No,
much.
they won't.
No,
They won't,
because
because-
at
because
that
this
point
is
you have freed up the British, and
you've
It's
well,
like
you've,
that,
you've freed up the British.
If we isolate
if-
the Eastern Front,
Let them finish, Foxo,
oh,
please.
sorry.
Even if the Luftwaffe are focusing east, I don't think that's enough to make up for because there's just so much fucking space to cover. They're going to be doing hoity-toity strategic bullshit because Goring's got ideas about winning the whole war that he just can't do. And I think that the general staff do draw a line in the sand somewhere west of Moscow, probably not far west of Moscow, but they do draw a line in the sand and start building that up immediately because they know this is coming, right? They've got a lot of know-how in fighting this war, fighting this terrain. They know roughly the obviously they can't directly anticipate that the Wehrmacht are going to repeat the same invasion routes, invasion plans,
And also,
But
they
by
can't
God, they
tell.
can mine the fuck out of him anyway.
Yeah, and they also can't tell Stalin that they're not going to attempt to hold the entirety of the Soviet Union. They have to make an effort to try, or at least they seem to be making an effort to try, because otherwise, Gulag.
Sure. I do think they hold. I think that the Wehrmacht ultimately don't get as far east as they did historically, but it's not by much.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
Does that seem reasonable?
yeah, that does. I agree.
Yeah, the Red Army didn't stop the Wehrmacht on the march to Moscow. The Wehrmacht running out of fuel stopped the Wehrmacht on its way to Moscow.
And
Correct.
if
I think that happens faster because the Red Army is better able to stall them.
like
Right?
if,
It just
like,
takes
if-
more time to go a given mile.
Yeah, and especially as I'm sure my friend will agree with me, knowing about railways as we do, if the railways have been pre-mined, so they are ready to be blown as soon as required, and add into that gauge changing, which we all know they have to do.
Yep.
Oh boy.
The other interesting question about who comes back in 1943 is how many of the partisans come back,
Oh.
and then
Well-
have time to, like, because the partisans they didn't have like a stay behind doctrine or anything.
No, they
I think
didn't
the Red
list.
Army crash developed such a thing.
No, if the partisans come back, they would probably enlist where they could,
I'm not saying they wouldn't, right? But I think that partisan resistance would be more organized and more formalized and better, not trained necessarily, right? But like, you'd have to sit through a couple-hour class as part of your basic, talking about how to do this.
Probably
If that
not.
makes any sense.
I think
Right?
I think what you
Because-
can I
Can I quickly
Yeah.
about partisans? A big issue with partisans is most of them tend to be just as anti-Soviet as they were anti-Nazi. Looking at the Ukrainian and the Belarusian and the Polish and the Baltic partisans.
Sure.
B, they've got very interesting ideas about wanting their own nation state and the guns to do it. And B, of how historically the Soviets treated the partisans in the later parts of the war. Because of the Soviet state organization, it can't accept organizations operating outside of its control in its own land.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
And by their nature, the partisans operated as partisans.
correct. What I
Yeah.
think you see again, right? The ones coming back are going to be those who still consider themselves part of the Red Army.
Yes, that
'Cause
makes
the
sense.
Red Army comes back, right?
Yeah,
A lot of these guys aren't. And they have demonstrated the capability of that kind of stay behind force, right? In an ad hoc fashion. I don't know that you're going to be able to get much more out of them. I think you're still going to have a lot of the various nationalist and anti-Soviet partisans that pop up. They're still going to happen.
I have a wait. They are, but I think I understand. If you use these guys to keep tabs on and, if necessary, nip in the bud the anti-Soviet partisans before they rise. Basically, you basically try to prevent the creation of anti-Soviet partisans and foster the creation of pro-Soviet partisans. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you use the foreknowledge to try and crush, because it is the Soviets, they would try and stop the problem from happening before it happens.
And probably make it worse in the process. because
Yeah.
it is the
I get where you're coming from with all this, but a lot of the partisans that are actually effective are members of the Ukrainian Red Army who got overrun and went into hiding. And I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
They're the Ukrainian Red Army. And they were part of the Red Army and they rejoined the Red Army. but they also got purged historically for having ideas about a not independent but not under direct rule Ukraine. And you brought them back to the 1940s.
I don't know, definitely an interesting hypothetical.
Yeah.
I think we've probably about beat this one to death.
The gunner officer asks on Discord, what would happen if the AEW Avenger entered service in larger numbers on USN carriers by June 44? Would it help the IJ in the Philippine Sea and later naval battles? Are we going to see a reduction in IJ aircraft punching through the US air defense screen? If they're used properly and are just literally able to provide extra early warning and fighter direction, yeah, that's really going to help. It basically means it gives you an airborne radar to cross-reference your ship-based radar with, massively improving your targeting and your fighter direction.
The answer here is just a flat yes, I think.
Yeah.
There's not...
It is literally just better. You have additional radar, and most importantly, you have radar at altitude. And that's the important thing. Go on.
And direction at altitude.
They
They're also direction. They are also direction platforms.
Are they? I didn't think that came until later.
They're not great at it. But it's happening.
I think the effectiveness is going to basically come down to: are they going to try and work it into their doctrine, or are they going to have them purely as flying additional radars with direction still taking place aboard carrier? That's going to be
either way. They help.
Oh yeah, of course. Yep. Bloody hell! It's so cold. Why is it suddenly got cold in January? It's never December or November. It's always January.
It is December usually, and February and January, but in particular, it's because of a large part of icy wind coming down from Scandinavia.
Can it fuck off, please? I don't want to be cold.
No, the cold's brilliant.
Now,
I am in the shed.
Cold, but I like the snow.
I'm sorry, peasants, all of you.
I had to crack a window earlier because I just got my new Stirling engine in, and Jesus Christ, it's cold out there.
Right, Fleet, my counterpoint to that is I know a person who lives in a shed, a wooden shed. Would I know what the internal temperature is roughly in there?
I'd rather not.
28 to 30 degrees. Because they actually insulated it properly.
I couldn't. I didn't build this bloody thing. It's more like an
That doesn't mean you can't not insulate it.
I'm trying, all right, but I don't have money. I lost my job.
Back in a moment.
Horrendous. Anyway, moving along.
Anyway. So that's that. So push button for next YouTube question. Poke. If the Eurofighter Typhoon ended up with Delta Wing air intakes in a similar position to the Rafale, would that have made the RAF and Royal Navy happy? I mean, I don't really see.
What does it gain you?
I don't really see. Foxo, what? What? I mean, air intakes in different places. Does it matter, really? I mean, what's the big difference?
It's a different wing, so it's going to have different somewhat different performance characteristics.
I'm very confused.
But I don't know enough aeronautical engineering to comment more than that. I don't think... Because what do they end up actually adopting?
Do we know if this design was at all considered, and if so, why was it dropped?
Yeah, there must have been something.
For in fact, you can blame the French.
The French.
mean, we're going to do that anyway by default.
So the response there is that this is air intake position was one of the excuses used to kill the navalized Typhoon. Or one of the rationales that resulted in the discontinuation of the navalized Typhoon.
Once again,
I don't-
I request we curse the French.
Well-
I think that the Royal Navy is just never going to find something to object to,
Yeah, like
right?
the whole
And
point.
it doesn't make sense.
It's also not the Royal Navy that's objecting to this, given that the early plans are in place while Typhoon is being procured for the QEs. So, and at that time, the plan is still to go back Calabar. So the Royal Navy would be happy with an aircraft it can also put on its carriers. The problem is that apart from the Royal Navy and the French, literally no one else wants a navalized aircraft.
And nobody else wants to pay for an aircraft rugged enough to deal with that shit.
Exactly.
Like that, fundamentally, that's the problem, right? It's a price point thing. To build an aircraft that is able to be operated in this manner, it has to be like, I don't know the exact specifics.
No, Knight. I said I lost my job. I didn't say I got fired.
But it has to be a more. There are physical differences that aren't just add cost, right? And if I remember right, I may not. It's been a long time since I've looked into this, right? The thing that really killed the Naval Typhoon project isn't necessarily any one specific thing wrong with it. It's that everybody else didn't want to pitch in to pay for it, and for what they were looking at paying for it, they could get something. They might as well just actually do a bespoke aircraft, or actually do. I forget what they actually ended up doing. Did they end up buying something from abroad? I don't remember. I apologize. I'm not up on my European naval
don't
aviation.
remember.
It lasted long enough to get 35.
Yeah, because the problem is that they went with F-35. Okay. Yeah. The problem there is the problem there. Yeah. The rationale there then, right, is that F-35 is already paid for. The U.S. has already paid for the development work there. You can just buy it. Why would you pay? Why would you pay to develop another aircraft when you could just get that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this would have been about. To look at having a navalized Typhoon by 1998. The French are being French. And the British in the late 90s are asking, well, the Cold War's over. Do we actually need an aircraft carrier? Do we need an RAF?
Am I remembering correctly that there's also some question here about the additional expense of designing it for Calabar?
Yeah.
Because that adds even more expense than just navalizing.
But the issue is that the Royal Navy, the British government's getting rid of the carrier that it was going to operate on, so they didn't want to pay for it.
Return once again.
Justifiably.
Well,
If you're not going to have a flat top, why pay for a flat top aircraft?
Yes. If not,
I'm not commenting on the cancellation of the flat top, but
It was a mistake because it meant that before the F-35 deliveries, they were looking at, okay, what aircraft can we put on the QEs? Harriers? Like,
have we found a Buccaneer at the back of the shed?
Oh no. No. Say about they could genuinely raise probably 2 or 3 squadrons of Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Unironically.
it's more that it has to do with the Buccaneer crews trying to go for
Fucking love the
what's it?
Buccaneer.
The guy who bombs Parliament.
Guy Fawkes.
No, V for Vendetta.
That's Guy. Well,
That didn't happen.
yeah, but also
Yeah,
it's based on Guy Fawkes though.
But so you would have Buccaneer crews going V for Vendetta when they get told they've got to take the Buccaneer off on a carrier again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
because it was
But by the time they were used in the 90s, they were considered unsafe to fly above 4G.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you told the pilots, "Hey, you need to get back in the cockpit of a Buccaneer," most of them would go, "Sign me up."
Yeah. fly a
Then you
Buccaneer.
would
My
know-
dad flew a Buccaneer, and his dad did too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then you'd run into the issue of so what? So which RAF airbase are we flying off?
You're not.
Well, we
About
want you to
that.
fly off a carrier, and that airframe experiences on the last carrier we had roughly an instance of 16G when taking off on the catapult. You're aware those aircraft are not allowed above 5G because of their wings, correct?
Ah.
They're well past the end of their life at that point.
Yes.
Like,
So
love
the
them to death,
Buccaneers,
but they should not have been around.
the
Yes.
Buccaneers were end of life
Do
by
not.
the Falklands.
Yes. Do not poke the buck. Leave the buck where it is. I guess you could. I guess you could say, Foxo, the buck stops here.
Yeah, but I don't know what else the buck says.
Fuck you.
Throw me at the enemy. I demand more blood.
Where are the
Stops
arches?
here and-
But
Well,
fuck
half
that.
of it stops here. The other half kept going and broke in half when it caught the line.
Because Blackburn, fucking Blackburn, the company whose issues with aircraft production was they built the airframes too heavy and too well reinforced. When, okay, these have a 20-year lifespan. Do not use them after 20 years. That was in the 50s.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving swiftly on. Typical Gunner asks, what would happen if the UK extends the service life of their Vulcan bombers just like the US extends theirs with B-52? Are we going to see a modernization that exceeds the capability of B-52 today? Okay, first things first. You need to bear in mind something. These are two entirely different circumstances in terms of national budgets, needs of the air forces involved, the aircraft involved, and most importantly, the size of the fleets and the companies behind the aircraft. Boeing is still a going concern, and was still a going concern when the US made the decision to long-term fleet the B-52. It was a conscious decision the US actually made. They made a decision to consciously fleet and keep around the B-52s in numbers. This was made easier by the large numbers of the airframe available to them. Bear in mind...
They can afford to go through and pick out the best examples and still have a workable number of the things.
And the original company that built them was still not only in business, but profitable. And was around to keep the maintenance going. The Vulcans were a fraction of the fleet size of the B-52. They were very much... They couldn't do a lot of the things B-52 could do. For example, they couldn't, without an exceptionally heavy rebuild, carry modern cruise missiles. They were very much more life expired than B-52, because bear in mind, B-52 production carried on long after the Vulcan stopped being built.
You're also
And-
looking at...
Go on.
Again, I'm not an aviation engineer, so take this with a grain of salt. But I would be willing to guess that the design of the thing does not lend itself as well to the same sort of inspection, part replacement. Like, it's just harder and more expensive to do that kind of thing with a Delta Wing, with an aircraft of the design of the Vulcan, than the relatively conventionally laid out B-52.
Foxo's very familiar with the B-52s.
I'm going to throw a spanner into the works here. They
Go
had
on.
this. They had a plan to upgrade the Vulcans
Yep.
to give them extra service life. They chose not to. In particular, they could potentially carry up to 6 to 8 cruise missiles.
Okay. So,
When?
so to clarify what Dragon's saying, because of what happened to them halfway through their life, you have to split the Vulcans into two categories. The high altitude bomber Vulcan and the low altitude bomber Vulcan.
So B1 and B2, basically.
Yes. Because the low altitude ones, the Vulcan could do it. What they found out towards the end of their life was we winged them, yes, but service life at doing almost Mach 1 at on the deck
Yeah.
in a early Delta wing on an aircraft this size has done a lot of warping to the central airframe.
So basically, like you could rebuild them, but the cost involved would be extortionate. Like, when I'm not denying the airframe's pretty good, but also just for reference, I pulled up the stats for the Panavia Tornado, GR4 specifically, and for servicing the sort of targets that you would want a modernized Vulcan to service, a Tornado can do it just fine. In fact, their range is actually not that different in terms of different marks of combat range, depending on how you want to do it. What combat approach you want to run. Yes, they can't carry as much payload, to be sure, but you don't want to be doing gravity bombing, which is the only way you really carry significantly more payload than a Tornado can in terms of guided munitions on a Vulcan.
Well,
Unless you're talking about specifically large cruise missiles like stuff like Tomahawk, but at that point, the Royal Navy can actually do that job far better, given that pretty much all of the SSNs post Swiftsure were fitted for conventional Tomahawk strike. And you're far better off maneuvering, if you have to do a Tomahawk strike, you're far better off maneuvering a Royal Navy SSN into position to do that strike than you are a Vulcan.
No, these in particular, the first ones they looked at was the GAM 87 Skybolt.
Oh god, that's way before we're thinking about.
That was the first one they looked at it.
Yeah.
They also look at them. They also look at different ones later. Also, the B3 variant had some rather interesting things, notably carrying much more ordnance, like now able to carry 48,000 pounds of bombs.
What's being sacrificed?
Nothing.
Airframe life.
No, because the yesn't. They go to a mere 12-hour flight endurance at traveling over 500 knots.
Yeah.
I'm still sat there going, something's got to give here.
It's called new engines, new fuel tanks. It's a complete overhaul. You don't have to give it called the power of new technology.
Even if something within the Vulcan itself doesn't have to give, something within the British government and the British Armed Forces is going to have to give.
Well, of course.
But that's not the Vulcan.
So the question.
There's a reason why these things just weren't done.
So the question is, if we're saying they are getting done.
The question is, does it exceed the B-52's capability?
I find that hard to believe, even with the increased bomb load.
It wouldn't exceed it, but it would be a British alternative if Britain wished to keep going with it.
Makes sense.
It's also very worth noting, right, that in both cases, their legacy platform bomb trucks that have a life expectancy in a major air war don't get them anywhere near anything happening, right? That's kind of in both cases, right? The capability gap differences between them are going to be functionally immaterial, I would submit, in that you're doing the same kind of thing with both of them anyway.
You're turning them from bomb trucks to missile trucks, basically. for the most part.
Yes. So, can I just, because I've been having issues with Discord, did Dragon go over the situation the airframes are in when they're looking at doing these conversions?
No.
Nope.
Expecting you to come back because I know that's a bit you enjoy.
Yes. So, big issue when they come to look at the Vulcans is the Vulcans saw majority of their use, especially in the late half of their lives, as low altitude bombers.
Yeah, that bit you did cover.
Very
already.
low altitude.
Yeah, you did cover that bit.
Okay, where did they get up to? 'Cause I know-
Warping in the central airframe, and even though they were re-winged, they got quite knackered.
Yeah, so when they were re-winged, although it worked, it caused warping in the wing roots and in the actual airframe.
Yeah.
Which is a hard cap on how long those airframes can survive for, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
And they were meant to be replaced long before that became an issue. They weren't. So you quickly run into the issue of when they were re-winged, you put a final lifespan on those airframes.
It's not like B-52 where they didn't really do anything strenuous with them. They just kept flying at high altitude like the B-52 always did.
Which is strenuous, but it's strain that those airframes are built for.
Yeah.
These airframes weren't built for
But
low altitude high
it's
speed.
regular and measurable.
Regular, measurable, and they've got inspection procedures and maintenance procedures and replacement of parts replacement procedures and stuff to deal with.
Foxo, they're pulling. What are they pulling on the deck, Foxo? They're doing nearly Mach 1. Then they're pulling some G's, aren't they?
They're pulling up to 13 G.
Fuck me.
In exercise at Mach 0.9 in an airframe the size of the Vulcan.
Flipping hell.
On the deck.
Fuck me.
There's a photo of them from when they were red flag in the 1960s of one racing altitude after diving into the Grand Canyon to escape interceptors.
Actually, so an excellent.
And they went. Okay, I'll post it in
let you
random
finish.
text because where is it? It'll be in history where these Vulcans have gone through the Grand Canyon.
My
So-
God.
Have any of you had the pleasure of seeing a Vulcan fly?
I was
I have not.
I went to see the last tour, but it was diverted from where we were actually supposed to view it, so I didn't get a chance. I nearly saw it 3 times, but I've seen a Vulcan up close.
I am very lucky that I used to go to the Sunderland Air Show basically every year. And they were doing restrained maneuvers, and you would see the Vulcan dive down and then turn vertical and go back up.
So, context
And you
of what
would
they
hear
did
those
during Red
engines
Flag.
roar.
Yeah.
I posted 2 images of Vulcans in the Grand Canyon.
Holy shit.
You will notice that first image, they are in the Grand Canyon.
Oh my fucking God, that's insane.
These
And the
sorts
kind of maneuvering you got to do to stay down there at high speed.
You might note something about British pilots at this period.
Mad.
They seem to have a problem.
Batshit?
No, they seem to have a problem with high altitudes.
They get altitude sickness and they're like
You've
less
got the
than...
Buccaneers and the Vulcans, both of which.
And
Well,
of
the
course,
Vulcans, admittedly, some of them can do high altitude, which the Americans really
Yeah.
hated,
Or-
and then the ones which do
Rotate-
low altitude, the Americans hated more.
and then of course
rotate,
you've got...
raise gear, descend to operating altitude, right?
Yeah, and then of course you've got the Hawker Hunter pilots whose idea of flying over London is flying under Tower Bridge.
Yeah. But it's needless to say that these sorts of operations did not do kind things to these airframes.
It's very
But especially when they were doing Red Flag, they didn't really care because these airframes were going to be replaced by 65. They didn't get replaced by 65, did they?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's you beat the hell out of it because what do you care anymore? And then wait a minute, fuck, I'm still stuck with it.
And although people joke about the durability of the buff B-52s, it should be noted that a lot of the airframes that fly nowadays spent the last 50 years in the boneyard. Not
When they
actually
could
doing
just go
anything.
through and find the best examples and.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, this is the one we're running this month. Right,
So,
like-
quite literally, the B-52s that were flying over Vietnam have been scrapped and turned into parts to keep the airframes that were thrown immediately into reserve afloat nowadays. Because the big issue that they've got is by 2030 they'll be out of spare parts for them.
Which, note, almost killed Vulcan quite a long time ago,
Yeah.
as Vulcan to the Skies got extremely lucky in the early 2000s, where they managed to find just a warehouse that just nobody ever cleared that was full of Vulcan original parts that
Yeah.
were in good condition.
They got
allowed to keep
exceptionally
flying.
lucky.
And then the problem was, right, now we have the parts, and we've replaced all the parts, so it's good. But now the problem is, this is out of airframe hours.
Yeah.
Like, multiple times over out.
It wa-
Can we
Yeah.
still fly it? Yes. Will any country in the world let us? No.
Because Vulcan of the Sky, though, that's got an interesting bit of history of one of the Vulcans they have did actually did low altitude red flag operations.
It
And they're still
was
flying that airframe.
it was nice that they actually did get Vulcans flying in the 2000s, and it was, amazing that it happened. But it was always going to be such a brief thing.
Yeah.
It was beautiful and glorious while it lasted, but it was always going to be such a brief thing. Now we come to a question I've been trying to ask for a little bit, which is, what dies? What is this Vulcan modernization project killing to exist? Because something has got to give in the defense budget. And what is it?
It's obvious. It kills TSR2.
Well, TSR2's already bloody dying.
Dying, not dead.
But it's also right. So at end of life, these airframes are not in a condition to be restored. So we've got to go back in time further. We've got to go back in time when they're re-winging them, and they get rid of a bunch of the fleet because they can only afford to re-wing so many, and they have to keep those aircraft and those spares around in reserve. Which means that you probably see the rest of the V bombers dead. The lightning dies.
Oof. The death of the lightning,
Arguably-
that stings.
Arguably, Tornado dies as well.
This isn't worth it. This isn't worth it.
Yeah, because
We have no
so
interceptors.
for context, if entered the Tornado in role, half of its original role was to replace the job the Vulcans were doing.
Well, that's
in its
that's
original
literally what I said. I said that.
Yeah.
I was actually right about something. Yippee!
killing Vul-
Don't get used to it, Fleet.
Uh,
if you're forcefully keeping Vulcan around, you are killing Tornado.
no.
And you kill Tornado, you kill Eurofighter.
And also, you make Foxo very
no.
and also you make
You don't kill
Foxo
Eurofighter.
you make Foxo very, very unhappy. You've killed her child.
So, no. Okay, you don't kill Eurofighter, but you don't get the Typhoon as we know it.
Probably
a
not,
lot
no.
of that comes from Tornado.
And Jaguar's probably a lot weirder.
Weird Jag.
Oh god, that might just kill the Jag as well.
Wait, no Jag.
Wouldn't kill
No
the Jag.
Jag.
That's a bit too. That's
No.
a bit too further down the line.
Because the Jag was also floated when they were acquiring it as being a nuclear strike aircraft. It could
Also-
carry the WB-177,
Friendly reminder
which
that. Oh, sorry, go on.
that's going to be a role taken up by the Vulcan still. so they're going to struggle to get the Jag through.
Awesome. And as a friendly reminder, they weren't just considering the cruise missile or the cruise missile variant for the Vulcan. There was another variant we haven't quite mentioned yet.
The nuclear cluster bomber?
No, that kind of falls into the bomber realm. No, the air superiority Vulcan.
The
Wait,
what?
what?
Oh,
yeah.
that thing!
I feel like okay. Look. Okay.
Potentially able
okay,
to
a brief.
carrying between 8 and 12 anti-air missiles.
No, it wasn't
Okay.
8 to 12.
It
It
depends.
was 12,
you-
it was 12 to 16.
Okay.
Are
I
they
feel,
just bolting a bunch of AMRAMs to it?
Yeah.
Is that what's
Yeah.
happening here?
Yes.
Like just under the wings, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right.
Can I just
Oh.
talk about this? 'Cause it's a brilliant bit of history.
Okay. Briefly.
That they converted and tested one in red flag operations. Because during a standard nuclear strike doctrine, Vulcans would travel in a group of 4, with one private EAC, one decoy, 2 nuclear bombers. The American F-104 pilots reported that there was 5 Vulcans, and that when they made their approach, F-104 pilots, the one Vulcan would turn around, fire off a single missile, and turn back and rejoin the group. The F-104 pilots got very annoyed when they were told they were eliminated and to land, because those Vulcans were simulating and testing a proposed air-to-air Vulcan armed with nuclear-tipped air-to-air missiles.
The fucking genie?
Interceptors. Yes!
Some of them, yeah. They did also have one which carried what's called AIM-54, I believe.
Yeah, the
Was
Phoenix.
another variant.
Yeah.
The $1 million
So-
missile.
That
yeah.
was what I was actually thinking of when I said AMRAM. I apologize.
But,
Yeah.
but we knew what you meant. We sort of had a rough idea.
The
Oh,
Soviets
dear.
are trying to interceptors vaporize that.
They can't detonate a nuke over America if we do it first.
Anyway, so next question. YouTube Minecraft Watcher on YouTube asks, what is the panel's favourite Cold War tank and for what reason? So this tank falls between the years of 1950 to 1990. His favourite is the T-64 due to its main gun and innovative reloading system. Not a bad pick. Nothing wrong with T-64. He knows it has a tendency to explode, only if shot at, but he finds the design fascinating. I mean, T-64 as a design was the foundation of modern Soviet tank design. From it does everything else follow. T-80, T-72, T-90. It all starts there at T-64. But I'm not going to lie, I have a soft spot for, in terms of favourite Cold War tank, I'm going to have to say I have a soft spot for the various menagerie of Leopard 1s. I like the funny speedy boy with the L7 that goes bang, 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 and then runs away laughing.
Reasonable.
And I can have it in many flavors. I can have it in Dutch flavor, Netherlands flavor, Norwegian flavor, Canadian flavor. I can have whatever flavor of Leopard 1 I want.
Yes, so got 2 because one of them might be a bit controversial if you classify it as a tank or not.
Alright.
First one is the South African Roycat.
Okay.
It's an
Some
armored
call it a
car.
light tank,
It's
some
an
call it a
armored car.
recon vehicle, some call it an armored car.
It's a wheeled
They-
light tank. But I'll allow it. It's hang on. Wait, hang on. Was the Roycat in service before
Yeah.
1990?
It comes into service in '87.
Really? That early?
It took part in the Bush Wars.
Designed 82, produced 87.
Shit.
Is the one with the what's it called?
Guatemala.
76.
Oh.
Yeah, and then the 105 was
That's a
post.
reasonable choice. And I mean, that's one of the few parts of the world where you can doctrinally fight a wheeled vehicle as just a tank.
And
Oh,
I-
is this
I
where the
fell in love
concept
with
one
it
comes
after
from?
Yeah, I fell in love with it seeing
No, concept
after
one's earlier.
seeing it in Metal Gear Solid, one of the Metal Gear Solid games, where there's this guy with magical powers, and you just get sent through a wall as a Rokat just road kills him.
Beautiful.
Did Rokat 105 ever go anywhere?
Not really, because Cold War ended. It got peace dividend.
How many 76ers did they actually end up producing? Anyone know?
Quite a lot. The South Africans liked them.
I presume they still like them, given the terrain they operate
Yeah.
in. Given not
Because-
everywhere can hold Oliphant.
The
given-
Wikipedia page says 240 units,
Yeah.
but take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I mean, because you can't send the bloated colossus that is Oliphant everywhere anymore, given how much weight that Centurion chassis had piled onto it.
It's what Roykat's just fast, and it's a bush war fighter, which is what South Africa's been fighting.
Like, I have to give it credit. 60 kilometers an hour off-road, 120 on-road? No, that's respectable. I wouldn't mind driving down a motorway in one of those.
Do not cut me off, you bastard!
It's fast enough you could get a speeding ticket in it.
You're still getting tailgated by some asshole in a Ford van.
That's when you rotate the turret.
He does not back off.
No, that's what you do if they're doing that. Just activate the
As a
EPS system.
certified
You
Ford
just
van
look
driver,
backwards.
I can confirm I would not back off. I have deadlines to make. You are getting out of my way.
Well, then you just slow down. Then you just stay
Or
in front
you
of the Ford van
smoke.
and just slow
Yeah.
down.
Just brake check them. What are they going to do?
I have deadlines to make. This is not my vehicle. I don't
Yeah.
care what happens to it.
Okay, right.
But you will miss your deadline if you crash into the back of me.
True.
So,
Derek, get out of the fucking...
which is an actual tank, and it's probably no less controversial, honestly, is the Shock Caldette.
The Rifle
Hey,
Centurions.
hey, Centurion moment.
They're
hey.
Israeli Centurions from the 1960s, and that was for combat in the Golan Heights.
Yeah.
Where it's a... Those were bought as the Centurion Mark III. Quite literally holes that were built in 1946.
They gave them L7s and a diesel engine, didn't they?
Confirm, which one are you referring to? Sorry, just double remind, which one are you talking about, Foxer, here?
I
Which
think it's the Shock Caldette.
The L7 and a diesel engine is the
yeah,
main thing.
the one from 84, do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a
one
lot
where
of
you're-
shot cals.
Yeah, the one where you're like, you're a shambling corpse of a tank, but you're still scoring kills. The fuck?
Yeah, I thought so. Delats are more likely made of the Mark 8.
Are they? Because I thought the arms embargoes meant they couldn't buy the Mark 8s.
They got Mark
Hey.
3s, 5s, and 8s.
Oh, right, they got the
Over time.
8s. They got the 8s through the... Wait, did they?
The
Yeah,
Shot
okay.
Cal Elaf is the Mark 3. And I think,
No, they got
but
the Mark
either way,
8s from South Africa, that's it. But yeah, it's just... If you ever want a tank that is the Cold War desert combat anticized, the Shock Caldette, ERA, ancient ass equipment, somehow still working and still kicks fast.
A
The
reasonable
only
choice.
issue is that it's controversial because of Israel. They can't say I like it without being getting called an Israel degrader.
It's a goddamn shame the IDF does what the IDF does. Moving
this-
on.
Anyway, yes,
Apologies for even bringing that up.
It's
Probably
fine.
shouldn't have.
Dragon? We're all mostly on the same page when it comes to the current fuckery in the Middle East.
What is it with... Like, the Merkava's a cool looking tank as well. Why?
It is. It's a
But
very
I-
cool tank.
I can personally,
it's a very
I think we can all-
interesting design
I think we can all
philosophy.
say we can look aside of what the country does and just go talk about just the vehicle. Like, no, I like this vehicle because it's an interesting vehicle.
Yes, but
They're very interesting.
yes, but we must also acknowledge the certain MacGuffins that are occurring. But anyway, that's all we need to
Yes.
say.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, Channel Lord.
Dragon?
Oh no, I'm gonna let the rest answer because just me and you have.
Oh fuck! I thought Dragon had his go. No,
No.
go nuts, go nuts, go nuts. Everyone else gets a tank. You get a tank.
You know
get a
what? Then
tank.
fine. Right. I'll also list two, but I'll be much more
Oh, do I
quiet
get
about
to?
the second one. Well, because the first answer is kind of cheating.
All right.
Because one of the ones I would have went has already been taken, and because technically speaking, the other one's a bit too early, I'll go with Stridsvagen. What's called 101.
Nah.
Stridsvagen 80. Swedish Centurion.
Nice.
Oh, wait,
Come
no,
on, we
it's-
can't all
Jesus
just
Christ,
have
no.
Centurions. It's
Well,
not.
that's why-
Don't worry, I got
That's why,
you.
that's
Oh,
why I
fuck,
couldn't
now
go.
I have to change mine.
No, not you. and let me guess, Guy. Guy, yours was going to be the Dutch Centurions.
Centurions are just good.
What's that?
No, because 103 is the S tank.
Yeah, 103 is the cheese wedge.
Stridsvagen 101 and 102 are different variants of the Centurion. In
Surprised you didn't
particular,
go to-
I believe they are modifications of the Stridsvagen Stridsvagen 101 were the Centurion Mark 10s. Mark 5s are the Stridsvagen 81, and there's different upgrade packages for the different ones which make them into different variants. Like, for instance, the Stridsvagen 102 becomes the 104 in the 80s when it got a new diesel and new gearbox.
They also slapped a fuck ton of
ERA.
yes, like
The
not
other
a little
answer-
bit, a fuck ton.
The other, oh right, fair enough, gentle. The other answer, which is not just a Centurion, because I do love my Centurions, would probably be Chieftain.
That's
I do
fair.
like
Reasonable choice.
I like
That's
Conquerors,
fair.
but Chieftains are a bit more intriguing in their variants.
It's fair. Okay, so who's next down the list is turrets.
Oh, it's another
So-
Centurion.
No.
I was gonna say Centurion, but considering
We're
how many other
overrepresented.
people-
We're overrepresented.
yeah, so I'm actually gonna say AMX 13.
Ooh, which one? Which one? 75, 90 or 105?
75.
Ooh, classic, the OG.
75.
Yeah.
The classic get fucked African nation.
Hey, I see your T55, and I say fuck you.
Yeah.
I see that you're trying to be independent. I say foreign legion upon you.
Turkey could have went really interesting and said the Jordanian Centurions, which were upgraded with the M60A1's engines, get the new fire control systems, laid into the rangefinders, etc.
No,
There's
we
so
can't
many
keep
unique
getting
variants.
away with it. Literally, we look over the shoulder. There's the Centurion is tapping everyone on the shoulder with its barrel, going, "You better fucking pick."
Or if you want to be really pedantic, you could say
Big Centurion.
Centurion test dot America, which were a pair of 3 Centurions sold to the U.S. Army to test against the M48s, and Aberdeen Proving Ground operated them.
Mm.
A good meme. A good meme.
Like, we've got Denmark, we've got Israel, we've even got
Guy?
Singaporean Centurions we can use.
Okay, Dragon, show me where the Centurion touched you. Show me where it hurt you. Show me where the
it's
knife
also-
is.
It's called the factory that built them is like 30 minutes down the road.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's too late. He's too late. He's been corrupted.
That's fair. Okay, Guy.
So it's Guy, the Dutchman. What is your favorite Cold War tank?
Pancake.
What does that mean? Which one? Which one?
I'm sorry. It's just what typical gunnery officers posted.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
not wrong though. Like
A
that's actually
modified
accurate.
Centurion. A modified Centurion. A modified Centurion.
Like unironic. Like, so, right? Yeah. Yes, I'm literally just copying this straight from Wikipedia,
Oh,
but you can see sort
dying.
of how it's an excellent way of just seeing how did this what's called Swedish modify their Centurions.
Oh my god, we're so.
It's actually
I'm
really
so
interesting.
dead. I'm so
Mhm.
dead. I am so.
Oh no.
It's killed me. I can't even. It's just.
But what about Fleet? Do you not
Okay.
want your Swiss
Do you-
Centurions?
There's a sentence on this Wikipedia page that makes me absolutely sure somebody who worked on the fucking thing edited it, right? And that sentence is the one for the Stridsvagen 81. Pre-NATO threading made the screws incompatible.
Yeah.
That is a sentence from somebody who was there and is still mad about it.
There are okay. There are times I have considered going in and just filling out the entire Wikipedia page for the cruise ship I worked on.
Yeah.
With
So-
stuff like that.
Exactly.
So Guy has gone for the pancake. Which pancake? 55, 62, 64? Which one? There are many. Which pancake? We need to know.
All of them.
Fair. Soviet tank aesthetic is yeah. Fuck it. I'll
Fair.
allow it. All right. Please, the person who deliberately said they were not going to pick a Centurion. What have you got for
Correct.
us?
So first answer, again, questionable whether or not it's a tank. So I have two again.
Everyone gets
M56 Scorpion,
two. Ooh, nice. That's a solid pick.
just because look at it. It's ridiculous.
It's goofy. I love it. I love it.
It's insane.
The fact that thing wasn't a
Um,
prototype and actually entered service is amazing.
Mhm.
Like, stick a pair of fox ears on it and paint it orange, and it's incredibly cute.
My other more serious armored vehicle answer is the TAM.
Oh,
I'm gonna butcher the
nice.
Spanish
Oh,
Tanque Argentino Mediano, the Argentine
that's-
medium tank.
That's a pick. That is a pick. I can't believe I
I
forgot
hate you
that
mostly
thing
because I hate
exists.
it in War Thunder.
It's a fascinating little vehicle because it is designed almost completely divorced from the concerns of the East versus West tank fight, whatever. No, this is just it's not entirely divorced, but it's its own little thing.
It's basically the basic premise was both sides were. What everyone misses is during the Cold War, Brazil and Argentina engaged in a mechanization race with each other, and both sides, even to this day, point the largest mechanized armies outside of Europe and Asia at each other.
Yep.
And the TAM,
The
the TAM was a response to the Brazilians acquiring tanks that were bigger than their rebuilt Stuarts.
Walker Bulldogs.
Yeah.
The thing I like about the TAM in particular is that it is, I mean, it's a medium, right? They're not trying to, the fact that they called it a medium, it's just an interesting detail, right? Because they're not looking to build an MBT.
But it's also not a light tank in
But I'm-
role.
Correct. Is this the final evolution of the universal medium?
I
don't know.
But no, legit, quite possibly, because it seems, just a quick glance at its history, it seems to be as similar to the Raikat in that it's designed divorced from the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sort of, it almost reminds me of, is it the ST3, the Japanese one?
STA.
Yeah, the STA.
It's also worth pointing out this makes Argentina one of very few nations to have domestically designed and built their main armored tanks, their IFVs, and their self-propelled artillery, all on the same chassis, and all built domestically. So hats off to the Argentinians, and also basically that's a glaring indictment against basically every other functioning first world government. If they can fucking do it.
Not
To be
really.
fair, it's more than that fleet. They've got an IFV, the 155 SPG, they've got the mortar carrier variant, they've got a command vehicle variant, they've got an MLRS variant.
It's a
they've got
whole
an ambulance variant.
family of vehicles that are just down there being out of sight, out of mind.
Like,
Yeah,
honestly,
but it's also,
I find the multiple launch missiles one incredibly cute. I'm uploading a picture now.
It's just it's very
That's
goofy.
cute. That is cute. But it's also, the interesting thing about these is that that they exist because Argentina, especially because they have to orientate against both Chile and Brazil.
You can see it in the TAM chassis. It's designed to
Yeah.
work in the mountains as well. It's designed to be light.
Yeah, well, it's only that it's a tank specifically designed to function in Patagonia,
Yeah.
which maybe alongside Siberia is quite possibly one of the most hostile regions to armored vehicles.
I would love to see them try to put this thing. Hey, random turrets. I'd love to see them try and put TAMs on flat cars behind those fucking 2-foot gauge 282s on the rocky
Oh.
track.
Okay, right, Fleet, you joke.
Oh no.
But these
Well-
were designed for mountain railways.
No, Fossey, you don't understand. The Patagonian Railway is cranked in the best and worst way possible. It's still maintained by the Argentinian government, uses steam engines that are very much out of date, and the track work is, how best would
Questionable.
we describe it, my
The
colleagues?
track work has needed to be almost completely redone since probably the Taft administration.
If you
If
go
not
slow
before?
enough, you can get around that. My question is going to be, what is the loading gauge?
It's fairly big, but the problem is that you can't really put anything heavy on it because it'll fall off the tracks.
Well, again, if you limit yourself to like 5 miles an hour,
Hmm. I mean, to be fair, they do hair
could-
those bloody things along.
yeah. So
I-
my concern is, does it fit in tunnels? Does it fit over bridges?
Oh, it's also quite funny
Uh,
because a lot of the signs on the railway are in Welsh. Because there is a sizable Welsh expat population down there.
But yeah,
Wait,
this is
noted.
just it. You see why this would be one of my favorite tanks.
Yeah,
Just a fascinating little thing.
But it's one of those things that it probably wouldn't be much use to anyone that wasn't Argentina.
Yes.
Correct.
Or
That's why
probably
they had to go out and
Sub-Saharan
build one of their own.
Yeah, or maybe sub-Saharan Africa.
Mhm.
Damn Centurion.
That I've just found. No, this is just another Centurion variant. I found that apparently it's a quad ground-to-ground missile launcher Centurion.
I don't think I want to be anywhere near that thing at any
Oh
point
my
ever,
fucking
actually.
god, that is just that
Somebody's
is just fuck you, fuck the wall you're hiding
Somebody's
behind.
gonna
fuck
open
the
up on
house
that with
behind.
a 50, and the whole thing's gonna
Yeah.
go
But-
kaboom.
But if it launches, it's fuck you, fuck the ground you're on, fuck the wall you're hiding behind, fuck the house that's behind you, fuck the tank behind that house, and fuck Jeff 20 miles behind that.
Would it be bad to say they did this to they did this to a Sherman as well, or tried to?
Yeah, I know, this is the Israelis. Okay,
Well,
okay.
It's an old
okay,
hole they've
Moe?
got lying around. Might as
Okay, so Moe, I'm going to give Moe 2 since everyone else has had 2, and I'm going to have one that's not a tank as well because everyone else has had one. Moe, what's your favourite Cold War tank and
2.
not a tank? Since everyone's done it.
You don't have to do 2 if you don't want to, but
No, I want to do more than 2, but that's alright.
This
seems
is
to
where
be-
we are. This
Okay,
is
one
where...
armored vehicle
Yeah.
and one tank.
Yeah, because that's where we are. This is like...
you. I highly recommend suggesting a Centurion. It's had
No.
very good results.
I
Come
know.
on!
I know, because as a meme, I was about
No,
to say elephant.
join me in AMX 13 land.
I do actually like all of them.
God,
As
do
a
actually
meme,
like
I was about to say elephant, but if you're
Listen-
going to start restricting the number I'm going to throw out, I like the Type 74. Shame it was produced way too late.
Nice. Good pick.
Hmm?
Good pick.
But my absolute favorite is the X1A2.
X1A2.
The Brazilian have
Oh,
weird naming
yeah.
conventions.
Oh yeah, the Brazilian honestly Gov, don't look under the hood. It's totally a new tank, not a Stuart, honestly, we
Oh, the
swear.
Katara.
Although you will know the X1A2 is kind of a new tank, but the X1A2, the X1A is literally just is a Stuart on fucking steroids. And I love it. I love it.
It is. It's got the same running gear.
Because it is a Stuart. It's a heavily rebuilt Stuart. And
Yeah,
X1A2 is new builds built off the same principle.
Give me a second, Box. I'll get you an image for the X1A, and you'll see what fleet means.
Okay.
Going in chat now.
Okay, why does this feel like the Galapagos Island bird evolution? for
Now do
train?
you see, this thing is partially the reason why TAM exists. Because it was better than it was considered to be better than the M41 Walker Bulldogs that the Brazilians had.
But the
Actually,
Argentinian previously.
turns out the one I posted in particular is not an M5.
It's an M3.
No.
It's an M3.
No. No fucking way. No fucking way.
You can
Apparently,
tell
it's
by
an
the
M3.
hat position.
Oh my god. That makes it even more ludicrous. I love it. Yeah, so for those of you who are wondering on YouTube, I keep trying to put the images up, but the streaming app's been fucking with me today. So go and look up the X1A and the X1A2 tanks Brazil, and you'll probably get the
It's even
the
funnier
images.
when you realize that the Argentinians went and designed and built a bespoke tank.
to
And then
town-
there's this.
Well, A2 is a bespoke tank. It's built on the idea and the parts from X1A1, but it's
Yes.
you know.
But X1A1 is still hilarious.
These two are just okay.
Turns
We need
out-
tanks specifically for these really niche environments in
Yep.
South America.
Yeah,
I love
in
it.
particular, they built 53 of them in total. Or upgraded to 53 of them.
I love
One
it.
of which was a prototype.
Oh, I love it. It's great. It's great. This is okay. So for my not tank in the Cold War, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I'm gonna say this. I have a soft spot for the BTR 60. Its ergonomics are shite, but I kind of like the idea of this 8-wheeled MacGuffin carrying dudes with a 14.5mm machine gun just going. We're off to the races, boys.
Okay, and can I get
I do love
a
BTRs.
honorable mention for the BMP one?
Oh yeah, I mean, if anything deserves it, it's that thing. It literally creates
Yes.
the IFV.
Changed how mechanized units fought. They
Yeah.
built more of them than God made of people.
There are enough BMPs to fight God. We
Yeah.
think.
There's enough BMPs that they still haven't run out of them.
And I mean, the fucking fuel door?
The fuel door. The glorious
The fuel door?
The fuel door. The glorious fuel door. Ivan, do not smoke there. Why? The
Like,
fuel
that's-
door.
No, look, you know,
That's just...
the
The
fact that
fuel tank in the rear door is one of the most quintessentially Soviet things imaginable in a way I can't really explain.
Yeah, it is kind of good. It's like, so, Ivan, front towards enemy, yeah? Yeah. So, fuel
you
door.
went back.
Fuel door. What do you mean? Well, we use door, right? Yes. And we put
No,
fuel
you see,
tank.
this lets us... No, space inside door normally be wasted. This make it not waste.
Ah, glory
I
to the
just
motherland,
like that.
comrade.
That a lot of them, especially made from some of the well questionable armor producers,
This is what
are,
happens.
are made out of what is basically sheet metal.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when when the
You're
pad.
just like,
This is what happens when you give the panel a question like this. We just go completely fucking potty.
I quickly can I get one more honorable
Okay,
mention?
one
Last one.
more. That's it.
The Danish M24 chassis.
Ooh, that's a pick.
Even in death, I serve.
Even in death, I serve the emperor.
I'm sure everyone here has heard the myth that the chassis was fully stabilized.
Vaguely.
And that myth originates from the Danish army in the Cold War stabilized their chassis
Oh. Well.
and kept them around way longer than they should.
I don't
What do you
know-
mean?
Right.
It's fine.
Unfortunately, Fox, I don't think they really have leg room to stand on with that. I've kept them around way too long. When you then look at bloody Brazil.
Yes, but yes,
Okay,
but
Brazil's
that's
in
a
South
microcosm.
America.
It's in South America. This was a NATO ally. These were Denmark was expecting, preparing to be invaded at the start of a Cold War gone hot to close the Danish belts.
Anyhow, an excellent
Hey.
question. Thank you.
So, next one,
Yes.
please.
Yes, indeed. We will have a next question. So the next question is, what if Lord Chandler asked this on Discord? What if I know he entered these brew ships last year, but I want Flit's input on this, which is fine. I don't mind. I haven't watched brew ships in ages, so I get these questions fresh. In 1919, Sweden, Norway, and Finland, which remained a kingdom under the House of Hesse, and Denmark, as well as Iceland, unite. And they decide to buy the Orion class in totality and the Lion class in totality. How does this affect naval developments in the Baltic, North Sea, and the naval treaties? Well, basically, they are joining an equivalent rank to the an equivalent rank to the Italians and the French, but the exception and the difference is that whereas the Italians and the French are at the strength they are because of weak financial situation and have the capability to build up to a tonnage limit they are not at in terms of capital ships, for the new Kalmar Union, United Scandinavia, Nordic Empire, whatever you want to call it, that capital ship tonnage limit is their limit. Whatever tonnage limit the 4 Orions plus 2 Lions comes to, that's their tonnage limit. They're capped out, I would say. And they're probably going to have to scrap, given that the coast defense ships will probably be lumped into... Well, the Spherias will probably be lumped into capital ship tonnage, so they're probably going to have to go. The older coast defense ships are probably going to go anyway, given that they are in this new nation. They have the money to replace them with better things like new flotillas of coastal submarines, motor torpedo boats, and modern destroyers that are far more capable, and they are using up valuable cruiser tonnage that the new force will now need. You're probably gonna see them... Like, they will follow British practice because they're looking for... Well, half and half. You're gonna have cruisers... You're probably gonna have a tranche of cruisers that are... Probably about a 3 to 4 ship class of full-sized Washington Treaty cruisers, since the term heavy cruiser doesn't exist yet, with 8-inch guns designed for work in the North Sea / North Atlantic on, going out to Iceland, simply down to the fact that you want a more heavily built and larger ship for that work. And it's also where where you are most likely to encounter equivalent ships of the foreign navies, and you don't really want your ship that shows up to be a 6,000-ton light cruiser. Doesn't really do the international relations and, saber rattling, which all countries engage in at this point, much good. But I do suspect there will be a tranche of 6,000-ton cruisers built for general work, escort work, flotilla leader work, and work in the Baltic. Because in the Baltic, a modern 6 to 8,000-ton cruiser is perfectly acceptable. And against your opponents, the wrecked remains of what was Germany and the wrecked remains of what was Russia, they're perfectly acceptable. In fact, they might even be overkill if they're a modern 8,000-ton cruiser. In regards to actual numbers beyond the capital ships we've already listed, it's very hard to say. Like I said, I reckon you probably will want 4 larger cruisers that are basically primarily based in Trondheim for work in the North Sea and the North Atlantic. But beyond that point, in terms of numbers of light cruisers and numbers of destroyer flotillas and submarines, I would find that very hard to judge myself without knowing the exact GDP capabilities of the state. Sorry, chaps. I'm sorry. I kind of ran away with that. Sorry.
No worries.
But yeah, I've had my say. If anyone else wants to weigh in, now's the time.
This is very much not my wheelhouse.
Yeah, you're welcome. You should be all right.
This is very much we have this fleet. Why does this fleet exist? To punch the Soviets and the Red Fleet. Can it punch the Red Fleet? Yes. Okay, we don't need to add more to it.
If that's the purpose, I kind of question why they're getting the Lion
Yeah,
at all.
Well, yeah. In a world, in even a unified Kalmar state, if it wanted battleships like that, it would build them itself.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
I could see it
They
maybe
wouldn't.
licensing a design.
So I'm going to guess this is going off what the Swedes wanted to do, which was buying the Iron Dukes or Iron Duke and Tiger to deal with the Ganguts if the Soviets ever started anything. Because legacy ships were looking pretty cheap. And the Swedes figured out it would be cheaper to just buy off the Royal Navy's old stock that can deal with the Ganguts than it would be to actually build them themselves.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Because, quite frankly, the Iron Dukes, in the best of the world, and they're a massive overmatch against the Ganguts.
Hmm.
Yeah, they are.
It's
So,
not even a
I-
funny level of overmatch.
No, they absolutely are. The only thing the Ganguts can do is use their speed advantage to just run away.
Hmm.
And
I
Which
at that
doesn't
point,
work
I-
when the whole point is just like they have to break out. They're bottled up, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the strategic situation for like keeping because keeping them bottled up is the entire point, right? That's all they have to do. That's a fairly unique situation to be in.
I would almost wonder, given the QEs are out at this point, and given this isn't just Sweden, could we see a scenario in which they ask to not license build, but do a derivative design of the QE that is smaller but retaining that somewhat higher speed?
Let me ask you
I don't
something.
think so.
Let me ask you something. What's the threat axis you need this ship to deal with? This is the thing. If the only Lord Chandler is saying he wants to keep the North Sea open to Nordic trade, and my response to that would be, if nothing else in the world has changed, there is no power that would be interested in closing the North Sea to Nordic trade. The British are happy to keep that open, and the British are happy to keep that open, and are in fact arguably the guarantors of that trade. And quite frankly, if the British do not want that trade to continue, this state does not realistically have the capability to stop them stopping them.
Where I'm coming at this from, and the reason I suggest that is, as a license build, it would be a good way to start a Nordic design lineage from, and also a good point to start working on building up dockyard capacity.
What point is this? Where are you
And
thinking this is
they would
historically?
also
Like,
then-
when are we here?
It's
Well,
1919.
we're talking.
The
yes,
Spherias,
and
the Spherias are on the
Swedish plan is
slips.
from 22.
Yeah, the Spherias are on the slips.
So, and the idea was to pick up Iron Duke, maybe Emperor of India, and Tiger to supplement the Swedish Navy to allow them to proactively deal with the
I
Red
think
Fleet.
they're looking two directions ultimately. First, they're looking east, right? In which case, you're probably right. As the situation evolves, they're going to start looking south.
Yeah, the rise of Nazi Germany might cause some alarm.
In which case, I still don't think things change over much. I think what they're looking at now, like the way their strategic picture evolves, is now they're looking to have to try to keep the Baltic fight gets much more complicated and they're going to have to contest the Baltic.
Yeah.
Right.
I
That's going to be the theater. That's going to be the environment that they're most focused on.
Hmm.
The North Sea, who gives a shit? That's a giant open ocean, relatively speaking, right? Like strategically, you can probably get away. You can get away with a lot, even if you don't have complete control there, right? It's going to be very, very difficult for an opponent to deny that to you entirely. The Baltic, that's complicated. Right? And they have to have it. Control of the Baltic is going to be essential if they want to be able to militarily maintain Denmark. It's going to be essential for, like, economically speaking, right? For shipping a lot of things out of,
Sweden.
Yeah, right? Like, the Baltic is going to be their primary focus. I don't know how many heavy surface assets they're going to build to fight in the Baltic.
I
Yeah,
think
so-
I think there's gonna have to be. I think, given this nation's the way we've been phrasing and setting it up, I think there's gonna have to be some. Given its much more extended coastline, even in the Baltic, there's gonna probably be something they build as either a peer to a Deutschland or a counter to a Deutschland, because
I don't
that is
think there is.
because that is something that will, if surrounded by a decent German fleet, that does provide a problem that the Sverries just can't deal with. Not
Okay.
what the fleet can't deal with.
Well, here's the thing. The question mentioned the lions class. I'm assuming that means suspended cats, right?
It says lion, so that's lion and
That'd be lion and tiger.
no,
Well,
no.
Tiger's different.
Yeah, so the
Or
lion.
Does that be lion? Lion is more than a match for a Deutschland, especially if she's been modernized, even partially.
Yeah.
Because she's still throwing about 13.
Oh, that's fine. I wasn't. I wasn't sure if we were actually on a timeline where this purchase had gone through or not. If it has, then yeah, you don't need anything.
Because I think the timeline is if the purchase goes through.
Yeah, if it goes through, then yeah, you don't
Because
need anything else.
Fritz is like,
Yeah, you don't need
run
anything
into-
else.
Yeah, you run into the issue of they're not going to build anything themselves because when they're buying these ships, their threat axis is the gangers,
You've
and you
killed
don't need a QE to
Yeah.
deal with the gangers.
with 4 Orion class
The-
battleships and 2 Lions. You've killed the Sverriers on the stocks.
What I was thinking, what wasn't, is I don't see why a nation with this sort of industrial capacity would buy off the shelf when it could try and build up its own industry. That's sort of my fundamental hang up with that idea. I can't see why they wouldn't try and build up their own dockyards.
Because-
Well, it would be the
I-
political instability in the 20s.
Yeah.
They probably don't know what the Soviets are going to do, so they need something immediate. They probably want to build up their industry, but you never know if the Soviets, after they finished their funny business, decided, let's continue the spread.
And it's also the case of the British are selling cheap. And okay, if we get both of us, because both of us we will be the one making these, so the only ones that have a chance. And you're still looking at about 4 to 6 year delay because the largest Bofors dockyard is caps out at 22,000 tons.
Because I think
Which
And also, you're also thinking with hindsight in play. Just because they acquire a bunch of ships doesn't mean they can't go and proceed to expand their naval infrastructure
like it wouldn't surprise me
for
if
the
you-
next generation of ships.
Like it wouldn't surprise
Because-
me if the build out you see is cruisers. 6,000, 5,000 ton cruisers to act as heavy screen,
That's-
which is
So what
That's
I
kind of-
was thinking is something designed, because you mentioned that the Orions wouldn't be fast enough to catch a Ganga. So I was thinking,
no, wait,
okay,
what?
he-
Wait, what? What?
Orion's
No
the
one
fastest
said
to do
that.
it.
Yeah.
Like the
Was,
Orion,
okay.
yeah,
I'm
the
a-
Orions don't have to catch them. The Orions just have to be in place to
To deter them, right?
no, to block them. If they come out,
Yeah.
it's Princess Royal and Lion that you send out to catch them, because they can easily, not only can they catch them, they can dictate the engagement and shepherd the Ganguts into running into the Orion class. And at that point, it's game over.
Wait, why
No,
are
I
they
mean,
playing
you don't
Orion?
even really need that.
Orion.
The Baltic is small enough where
Yeah.
you don't need the battle cruisers to force anyone into a engagement.
I know, I'm just talking in general terms.
Oh.
Yeah. But I'm trying to figure out why you'd buy the Lions when why wouldn't you just go for the Iron Dukes? Because we're only trying to get rid of them.
In 1919, they're not trying to get rid of the Iron Dukes, they're trying to get rid of the Orions, but they're not trying to get rid of the Iron Dukes in 1919.
The Ryans are going for our dirt cheap. That's fine.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
get all three.
Anything that's
You can get all 4 Orions for a song, and at that point, why wouldn't you? That's a full class of exactly the same ships.
Yeah,
So,
you could when you're buying them for it's basically scrap value.
What I'm thinking though is not building an actual QE, but a QE derived design that's shrunk a little bit. So it like keep the 24 knot speed, but maybe go to like 13.5 or 14-inch guns instead.
Again,
Yeah.
my
These
again, my
that's
question.
cost.
Yeah, again,
That's a lot of cost.
yeah. Again, my question would be why? What is this domestically built ship giving you that the 4 Orions you've bought for a song are not?
Industrial base.
You've already got that. That's already extant. You should probably be using that to build other things. You should probably be using that to build cruisers and destroyers and submarines. The things, the ocean-going parts of the navy that you haven't had. Yes, you've had coastal flotillas and coastal things, but no Scandinavian navy has operated a proper cruiser since the White Swan of the Baltic, Fligir.
and also just that industry should focus on the next generation of ships that you're gonna procure afterwards.
Yeah, you should be thinking, and given how the costs involved to replace something the size of the Lions, you should be looking at a replacement that looks to like the US does with its carriers nowadays. You build a ship, you lay down a ship every 1 to 2 years, and you gradually replace your current crop of capital ships with a set of similar ships, and then you repeat the process again because you cannot afford to do, full classes or one ship laid down every year.
Because we get what you're saying. It's just the political instability at the time dictates that buying the Orions is by far a superior choice because they're right there and we can use them immediately if the Soviets do anything funny. If they try to build their own, if they try to build a ship, there's a very high chance the Soviets might do something before any of the ships are ready.
Yeah, because the only place that can build it is either the 2 yards in Sweden, and they need to be built up for it.
Yeah,
And
Which is a
there's
5-6
still
process.
nothing stopping the Nordics from continuing their ship development after procuring the Orions.
Yeah, almost
And it's
definitely
also,
they are trying. Yeah, they're definitely doing that. It's in addition, not instead.
yeah, and it's also they'll probably try and get probably by a lot of the knowledge behind the Orions and Iron Dukes, and if they can, the QEs. But especially after a couple of years when it's obvious the Soviet Red Fleet's a shit show, there's going to be very little need
yeah.
for a next generation of capital ship.
They probably start out looking to build more of them than they actually do.
Yeah.
Probably still build a couple. Maybe 1, maybe 2. Just because
also
by the time
depends
they
on-
realize they don't need them, they've already got them partly
Yeah.
done.
It also depends on how the Orions deteriorate, right?
Yeah,
Because
and
They are relatively old ships even when you buy them in the 20s.
Yeah,
what's the
because they've had
lay down
war,
date.
Yeah, and
The
they also
World
went through the
War
war.
I.
They also went
What's
through
the
the war. and-
Scandinavian coal supply look like?
Very good. Very,
Okay.
very good.
I didn't know. Thank you for answering that. I was wondering if that might be relevant.
Basically, fun fact, of all coal Germany uses in 1942, over 30% of it is Swedish. For the entire nation of Germany.
Okay, so that's not a concern then.
Like, the Scandies are literally made out of the stuff.
Yeah. So, next
And-
question. Go on. Go on.
Because I can see them replacing the Orions. What's going to be interesting as the 30s roll around is, what do they do with Lion?
And
Because-
Princess Royal.
Princess,
Two of them.
hasn't Princess Royal gone bang?
No. It was
I
Queen
think it's the
Mary.
other one.
It was
I
Queen
think it's
Mary.
Mary.
Queen Mary that blew up.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those cases. The Iron, can I say the Iron Dukes? The Orions are going to be a limited use. You put some AA guns and some dual-purpose batteries on Lion and Princess Royal. That's a fight most heavy cruisers don't want to take still.
And honestly, that's a fact the Gangut's aren't going to want it. What you might see is the Scandinavians wanting to retain a 4-ship battle squadron, but having that 4-ship battle squadron made up of a refitted Princess Royal and Lion, and a pair of new ships that can keep up with them in terms of speed, but are much better protected, 27.5 knots. And
Maybe.
that being your 4-ship squadron that takes you into the 30s, with the Orions put by the wayside or disposed of. Because that's an infinitely.
Two-tier fleet, though. Where you've got the slow ships that work
Can-
as
can-
coastal defense
even
with the fast pair.
even this size of. Well, no. If you're gonna have a 4-ship squadron, it really should be a 4-ship squadron that can operate together. And
No, just to clarify, what I'm saying is you'll have these two, then you'll have the 4-ship squadron.
So you're saying that the replacements will be even for a Kalmar Union, 6 capital ships is still.
Over the course of 20 years? Or 15 years?
I'm more talking about maintaining 6 ships generally.
Entirely doable.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you buy 4 Orions and 2 Lions, you are probably doing it under the presumption that you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, in that
So
case,
there's no reason to believe, you can't do it in the future.
In that case, then, yeah, you probably would have you would have the 4-ship replacement, but they probably would be faster, probably at least equivalent speed to the Gangut, so 23 knots, possibly a knot faster.
Yeah.
And also just because capital ship speeds are going up generally across the board. So.
Yeah, but get back to my point quickly.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, a refit of Lion and Princess Royal, that's the sort of ship where the Deutschlands aren't going to want to take it, even in pairs. The Hippers are going to tell you to no. And Scharnhorst and Ignatius now are looking at that and going,
we can take it, but it's a 50-50 chance we're going to win.
What cost?
No,
it's going to be especially our Baltic Rangers, where those 13.5s are going to lol pen, like those 11-inch are going to lol pen.
Yeah, it's basically the thing is it's an even fight, and nobody fucking likes even fights.
Yeah, and it's a case of if we're assuming that they're going to train and fight like the Swedes did, then those ships are going to get their chunk of flesh.
Mm-hmm. I think the interesting question comes up with what do you, because like on the eve of like the mid-30s, once we've done the battleship replacement, it's gonna come time for the Lion replacement. And the question is, what do we think the Lion replacement's gonna look like? Are they gonna push for 30 knots? Are they gonna have triple turrets? I think Like, are we going to try and see them keep that 13.5-inch caliber, or are we going to see like a long-barreled, high-velocity 12-inch?
They're not going to go down to 12-inch.
12-inch.
I think you've got two options. You either get a super cruiser to replace them, so a 9.2-inch cruiser, or a very heavily built 8-inch cruiser.
Which to me seems like a bit too much of a loss in capability, given they're also expected to fight things like the Ganguts.
Or they go third party and they go to the Royal Navy.
By that point, if you
Why?
built a class of 4 battleships yourself, your yard space should have grown to a point where you can actually build ships like this yourself.
Because even if they built it, even if they're building it domestically, the only people who have experience building gunnery capital ships that go 30 plus knots at this point.
What use do they have for 30 plus knots?
A surprising amount, actually, in the Baltic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Right, but
in the modern
like-
era, it's basically clearing. It's in the modern era. That's datum clearing speed. That's basically if you force an action in the Baltic, you ramp up to 30 knots. You clear that fucking datum so that when the aircraft from the other side inevitably show up, you are not there.
Yeah.
Well, in the 30s, since the threat axis is from south, you're probably gonna need the ship not in the Baltics anyway.
And sort of the 30 knots is you want a capital ship that's a cruiser killer, it needs to be doing 30 knots.
And of course, if it does run into any of the Washington Treaty era legacy capital ships belonging to just by chance, because navies, even though navies can be close allies, they still plan against each other. That's just how it was in the 30s. It also gives them,
how it is now.
yeah, it also you're a QE, you're a Britannia, you're a US standard. I'm over here. Bye.
It wouldn't surprise you if we're looking at 30 knots and 8 to 9 modern 13.5-inch guns.
The Bofors did produce a 14-inch gun in the 30s historically, so you might see that instead.
They've also got designs that they had built and tested for 15s and 16s to see if they could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
but
I'm thinking is-
they are large enough to get roped into Washington anyway.
Yeah, but what
So
I'm
they're
thinking
gonna
is-
end up doing 14s for their initial designs.
Yeah.
or you see both as, because they've already got 13.5-inch guns to work off, when they're developing the next generation of capital ship guns, they standardize on 13.5 instead
It
of
doesn't-
14-inch.
Yeah, 13.5 doesn't really work as a metric unit, though, and Bofors does work in metric. So they are probably going to go for the 14, given that 14 is one of those lovely calibers like 12, like 16, that does also work very nicely in metric.
Yeah, but
356?
neither does a 47 mil. But both has made a lot of those.
Yeah, well, no, it's more just the general characteristic thing. Anyway, but also it does mean you do get an increase in firepower.
Yeah,
It's a
but
small
it's
increase,
also-
but it is an increase.
I'm also thinking because you'd be firing green boy shells and you, for such a small navy, just keep commo ammo usage.
You can. I mean, I would say that if it wasn't for the fact that I would also expect the newer battleships that have replaced the Orions to have 14s as well.
Yeah,
But the
They're-
Bofors
they're
1455s.
they're going to standardize on something. The question is going to be, do they decide to keep the Orions around, or are they getting rid of them?
They
Soon.
probably the problem is the Orions need to go. They despite their
Yeah.
capabilities and they have got them for a song, they have seen heavy war service.
Because what I'm thinking is, do they keep the guns around and just reuse the guns?
I think you
Because
might.
the Swedes, because the
Or
Scandinavian
coastal
navies did
defense.
do that.
Yeah, the Swedes might put the
For
turrets.
coastal defense, I doubt they're gonna put them on a ship.
Yeah,
But my thoughts is, if they're already working with 13.5, they get no advantage for rejigging everything for 14.
well, thing is they're not working with 13.5. This is a lock, stock, and barrel situation.
Yeah.
They
You're
bought
probably
so-
yeah. This is
It's
what I'm
someone
saying.
else's supply.
And
supply
if you're,
chain.
and especially if you're going for, if you're rejigging them for coastal artillery work as you're gradually phasing the Orions out, then it makes even more sense, because while you're doing that, this may also match up with other classes of Royal Navy 13.5 and ship bowing out of service with them. versus London, perhaps, which at that point means you're going to be able to snap up even more 13.5-inch shells and powder bags to keep those guns ashore going. I understand. I absolutely get what you're saying, but I just think that given the way in which we've been discussing this and a desire to go domestic, I do think that you are looking at 14-inch armed ships in 45 caliber and probably 50 caliber becoming the choice of vessel for the choice of gun for the Swedish for the whatever it's called, Kalmar MacGuffin Candy Kingdom.
Scandinavian.
Yeah.
I mean, my one big issue with that is that the Bofors 14-inch would come significantly after the 13.5. And if they're going, we've got 13.5 bought from British, we need new barrels, so we're going to scan this size and produce our own. And then we want to improve the 13.5.
They could buy spare.
And suddenly you've got a standardized Bofors 13.5-inch, and the 14-inch never existed.
The Bofors 14-inch is extant and has been extant for some time before these ships were bought. Bofors created a 14-inch gun in the 1910s.
Did they?
Yeah. It was part of the
Can you throw us that one?
It was part of the bidding for the Dutch capital ship contract, actually.
Yeah, but because okay, so just to clear things up, because this came up a lot when we were looking into Krupp on my server. Is this something they said they could build or something they had built?
Do you know, off the top of my head, I can't remember. I'm actually trying to find it now.
Because specifically, Krupp claimed and putting bids to use a 12-inch 50 caliber gun on the last generation of German pre-dreadnoughts, and they published it in magazines in 1902.
Yeah.
As far as we're aware, that gun was, we can technically make this. We haven't made it yet.
Yeah. So the winning Germania design had an armament of 8 14-inch guns in 4 twin turrets, and I believe these were supposed to be either co-developed with or fully developed by Bofors.
Okay, so the guns weren't actually extant at that point.
But the briefing was in place, and if it would be fairly easy to have those guns in place by the time you wanted a new capital ship, given that.
As far as the first time they actually make a 14-inch is in 32.
Yeah, but it would be feasible to do it much earlier. But I do get your point. It's interesting though. It's interesting taking these dives, because on these alternate history explorations, we do get to take a dive into real history and discuss what happened. It's one of the reasons why I like doing them. Fleet's brain is exploding.
Okay, next question. I suppose.
Next question and last question. Not because it is time, and I do need to do a few little bits and bobs before I go to sleep, because I had a very early morning this morning owing to the shenanigans that I had the announcement about earlier today. So, 9631, do the panel see any ship named USS Trump being renamed at the first opportunity? No. Normal rule of thumb is you just don't rename ships unless you absolutely can avoid it.
Look, we've
I'm
got
gonna
a George
say-
the
You
Back
see
book.
them mothballing it as fast as possible, but
I'm going to say yes with an asterisk. If there is ever any physical thing actively extant under that name, I don't think it will be renamed. I question whether or not there ever will be.
Yeah, if she's in service,
If that makes
she
any
won't
sense.
be renamed. Basically, if she's in service, she won't be
Yeah.
renamed. If she's not in service,
It
she
is-
will still be renamed.
It is basically questionable whether we get anything named Trump.
Yes.
Yeah. Because remember, we have got a George W. Bush in service.
Too.
Yeah.
As much
There
as I
could be a
hate
case
the
in
bastard.
the future, but it is well after Trump left office.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because we don't have an Obama yet, so
yeah,
there's still a good while to go.
yeah. Besides, we need the USS Obama so it can get destroyed by drones.
Wait. Does that mean when the USS Obama bombs Iran, we can go, thanks, Obama?
Yes.
USS Obama launches drone strikes.
And on
against-
that-
And on that bombshell, it is time to end. Get it, bombshell? Thanks, Obama.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you
I'm
so
sorry.
much,
USS
everyone.
Obama launches drone strikes on Yemen.
Yes, we can. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.
Thanks
And
for coming out,
obviously, tune in tomorrow on Twitch for Rule the Waves. We're finally
Captain
gonna
of the
finish.
USS Obama.
We're finally gonna finish the Chinese game. Tune in on Wednesday when I'm gonna try and run the Railroader server and actually stream it for a little bit. Maybe we shall see. But but for those Railroader enjoyers who are on the server, the server will be running on Wednesday, so please tune in for that. Or also just be in the server for that. And yes, Knight's quite correct. There will be, as standard, a catch-up ramblings on Friday, and I'm going to try and slap in a recorded video on Thursday. Although what it is, I'm not entirely sure.
Because it's going to be a very